What up? What up? A2HH Live. We are in the building. Mike D over here. Coop on that side. Shout out to everybody jumping in the room on time. We were somewhat on time. It's been a long day. Thumbs up in the chat. How you doing today, Coop?
I just want people to click like and subscribe. They like this.
For sure. For sure. Hit like, subscribe.
You,
What's up?
no. You first. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man. I had a very eventful day. I was able to sit down with the great Big Gip from Goody Mob. So you guys will be seeing that footage pretty soon. And we had a really good discussion. We were speaking about an event that's taking place December 2nd. It's going to be at Down Home Brewery out there in Tucker. Y'all going to see some more information on that as well. It's going to be a real cool event. Shout out to Lennox. Shout out to Big Gip. Everybody involved over there. Chris. We were able to taste some hops, and you know what I'm saying, Gip went in there and was making some hops, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
Flutes up.
Flutes up. Right.
We spoke about the album too, the Flute album.
Yeah. I never hide nothing from our people, Mike. So while you were sitting down with Gip, I was sitting in Cobb County Courthouse today. I realized a lot of things like about how the system still works to our disadvantage. And it's not for hip hop. So that is, how about this? What I went through today is kind of why I started my show, All the Things, and why I'm like doing it is because it's like there needs to be a space to talk about some of the things that happened to me today. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to talk about this this very, very biased attorney who I'm not going to name on this show, but I am going to name soon, who like literally didn't submit pertinent court documents that could have kept me out of some of the situation that I found myself in today, and it really is because of the color of my skin, quite frankly, you know what I'm saying? And because it's fucking Cobb County, and it's like, it's cool. I had to eat the food today, but it's not hip hop related. On a more hip hop related tip, while you were sitting down with Lenny, when I actually made it up out of Cobb County Courthouse, I actually went to see Clarissa, who runs Synergy PR Services and actually has been friends with Lenny for 20 years.
Yeah, she stopped by today too, so she must have been real busy today.
Yeah, she showed me the picture of you interviewing Gip. I didn't come to the interview. I was like, oh, Cobb County in me. But, yeah. But she showed me the picture, and I was like, cool, because we were having another business meeting about my other job. And so shout out to Clarissa and shout out to Synergy PR Services. They're also the one that put together that event that's going on December 2nd. They're the PR for that.
Mm-hmm.
And just shout out to Clarissa for looking out for me during my day job. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like giving her some love on a day like today where I was not feeling very loved.
Nah, she was awesome, man. She came through. It was just her. And I think that, I guess I was doing an interview with Gip, and then, what I'm saying, she kind of dipped out because I know, she's busy and got a lot going on. But, yeah, we went through the, walked through the venue, per se, or the brewery. And, Lennox was giving us a tour. It's a good time. JY with the Super Chat says, what up, Mike and Coop? What up, everybody? Thumbs up in the chat, guys. We can get right into it unless you want to talk some sports stuff. We can get into tonight's Philly and KC game, or we could just start talking about this Drake album, or we could get into this Rakim and Scarface being honored at the Grandmaster Awards.
I'm gonna let you call it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's start with Rakim and Scarface at the Grandmaster Awards, because I think that was a great gesture. I think that's something that needs to continue on. So Nas, Steve Stout, Horwitz Foundation, and some more people that came together to honor our hip-hop legends that may not have financially been able to benefit from, this hip-hop industry as it is now. So it's a kind of reaching back thing and showing respect. And I guess to correlate it to something kind of like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for hip-hop, where you're really taking the time to honor individuals one by one. So the first honorees, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do this annually, or I hope they do, were Rakim and Scarface. It was held in Vegas. I think that Man, I don't think that we've seen a gesture like this in hip hop from its peers without it being, corporatized to a certain extent. Obviously, there are corporate people or people who have corporate relationships that are involved in it, but I don't think we've seen, I guess, somewhat of a grassroots type of acknowledgement in this way. And I say kudos to all the people involved, and I would love for them to keep something like this going. Somebody asked me, like, okay, after Hip Hop 50, what's next? Do we go back to business next year where we don't acknowledge our pioneers, or does this keep going? And I think something like this, started on the 50th year of hip hop, is a great way to keep things like this going.
You know, I don't know anybody other than Nas that thinks this way about hip hop on this high level. Um, and the presentation of it is appropriate. It is literally, at least on this side of the United States, these are the two respective most revered pioneers in their respective regions. Rakim
Mm-hmm.
is the God MC and most revered MC that comes out of the East Coast. He is the, it's like I tell people, it's like he is the Homo erectus of and Homo sapien of like MCs. It's like no. It's like we was doing some other shit, and then that dude started walking, but it was running at the same damn time. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like he's the guy to sit up straight, walk, and run as far as the bar work is concerned. Um, you know how I feel about Face. Like I prefer Face, like pretty much to everybody not named Nas and the artist formerly known as Andre 3000 on a personal level in terms of who I like to listen to and who inspired me. And so to see Nas recognized, and keep in mind these guys are icons, but they're not that much older than him. But for him to have reverence for them enough to do this, the way that he has, it speaks volumes about him as a man. Like we don't even have to talk about the MC or do the GOAT talk today. This is a man who understands hip hop culture, hip hop history, and just on some MC shit, like Nas standing next to Rakim at an event like this, that is the God flow for this rap shit. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so he doesn't just deserve kudos for his bar work, he deserves kudos for his hip hop integrity, his mind state, and quite frankly, because I know that he's heard this show, I believe a certain guy on here has been talking about how hip hop needs to take care of its elders and form some sort of union. Not saying he got the idea from me because he's a brilliant guy in his own right, but this is the shit that I was speaking to, Mike, for years, where I'm like, no, we got to take care of our OGs because it's
Mm-hmm.
like they took care of us. They made this culture a viable money making machine.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have been speaking those sentiments from a grassroots level. I remember Swiss Beats was speaking on it or talking about doing that around 2020, and I mean, I don't know where that initiative went. Maybe it evolved and turned into something like this, but us in this hip hop business, we get tunnel vision sometimes, and you're so focused on what you're doing that day, that week, or what you have to build out, that the people who created this foundation for us to fly to the level that we do get left out of the fold. And I'm glad that they're taking the initiative to make sure that doesn't happen. And hopefully a lot of other people follow suit. This is not just the responsibility of, the few. We have so many people out here who've made their livelihoods and their legacies and their generational wealth on hip hop. This needs to happen more. And it shouldn't be on their shoulders to say, okay, well, who you honoring next? Well, it's like, well, no, let people over here honor somebody else in that same way too. Anime Bros podcast with a super chat says that Tory Lanez album, man, you know what? With so much new music out there, I didn't even get to the new Tory Lanez deluxe piece or whatnot, but I mean, I think that's a segue into the Drake one though. Did you hear Scary Hours 3? And what were your thoughts on that?
The best he's rapped in years.
I think he said he recorded these songs in a week's time, right? And They were saying it's the most focused that he's felt since, if you're reading this, it's too late.
I'm going to have to echo his sentiments. I mean, sometimes artists are delusional, but sometimes artists know themselves better than we know them. And there was something humble about him saying that too. That was also him admitting, it's like, oh no, I haven't been on my A game in a long time.
It happens.
That was the back. No, it happens. It happens in life. It happens to all of us. So It's like, it was refreshing to hear him realize that he hadn't sounded this dope since then.
Yeah, and you could tell when you're reinvigorated and you're hungry again, and you're clicking on all cylinders. What I do like about this effort is, and whether people love Drake or not, you got to respect the fact that people had things to say, or they had their critiques about his album, non-favorable things to say, and he came back a couple of weeks later and gave you what you said you were missing from that effort. Now, who else is going to do that?
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I did not. Okay, see, here's my thing. I get the Kendrick thing with Drake. I really do.
Yeah.
But to keep engaging with Pusha, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Pusha fan. You know what I'm saying? And I actually say this on this show. The way Drake has handled himself has made me a fan.
Right.
In spite of all. But there is something about it that's like, oh, this loss still hurts you. It feels kind of Blueprint 2-ish. It's like, oh no, you lost bad. And there ain't no coming back from that type of loss, really. And it's like, for his bar work level that I actually heard on this album, I would have preferred he steered clear of that, even though the record's dope.
I agree with that. I think that the Pusha T stuff, and I'm a Pusha T fan as well, it's kind of like, and I didn't even put this on the docket for today's show, but we can speak on it real quick. Royce has finally responded to Lupe and I think Mickey as well. And it's a little too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you weren't going to respond with that energy in that moment, you just need to go ahead and hold the L and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I mean, the person that really needs to catch these strays at this point is Kendrick. Because when it comes to Drake, we already know what this is going to be. Pusha's not going to sell enough, as many records as me. I'm way more accomplished than Pusha, blah, blah, blah. That's what the back and forth is. Because we already had a skills match. And when there was a skills match, then, Drake had to go work on his album and we didn't hear anything. You know what I'm saying? But when we're talking about somebody like Kendrick, I think, them being of the same generation, them being very successful in their own right, and them being hyper competitive to be the best of their era, that's where the focus needs to be. Pusha T, that time has come and went. That was what, 2018? And so, same thing with the Royce thing. Like, if you didn't respond to Lupe in that time period and Mickey Fax in that time period, we need to just let it go and, keep it moving.
I'm going to have to concur with those sentiments, man. It's like, it's like, to quote Prodigy, when the war was on, you was quiet like a beep.
And just like I don't want to hear Eminem responding to the Black Slim Shady. It's too late. You lost that.
Yeah, wrap that up.
Yeah.
Wrap that up.
Peter Parks with the super chat says Drake knows how to work. You could tell that he has a chip on his shoulder with the music though. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's been hated on since he came in the door. And he's kind of got a little Kanye in him as well, where it's like, all the people that shitted on me on the way up, I got something for them. You know what I'm saying? But it's in a different way. Mad Max with the super chat says, Diddy, the supervillain of hip hop, Drake's album of the year, South saying anybody is bigger than Hove, low key, is low hip hop IQ from that region. You not Kobe to us, Andre flute former. Okay, I think he's talking about when Coach K said that Jeezy's bigger than Jay-Z in the South. I
Hold
mean,
on, who said that? Who
Coach
said
K
that?
said that.
Who?
Coach K from
Coach K.
QC.
Oh, that Coach K. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You think
Like
about
I'm a
Duke?
Duke
He like,
fan. You don't say Coach K without like clarifying over here. It's like no. I didn't even know Coach K was up on bar work like that. That's what's up. But first of all, Mad Max, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
this
So
is what I will tell you. In
like
2000, what
there are
2005? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
there are a bunch of guys down here bigger than Jay, the Southern dudes. Like because of how New Yorkers treated Southerners early on. Like I keep trying to tell y'all, it's like no. Me and Mike D are kind of like anomalies down here. Like niggas don't fuck with y'all like that down here because of how y'all acted. Like how many times do I have to make this clear? Like niggas don't understand English or something. It's like no, niggas don't rock with y'all like that around here.
My conversation with Gip today was very interesting in that light too. Yeah, we spoke about some of those things, but yes, as far as that Jeezy being bigger than Jay in the South, I mean, yeah, if we talking about 2004, 2005, no question. And you also have, and I need to look at the whole interview. I mean, I know people take clips and run with it. That's the world we live in today. But you also have to factor in Jay-Z was retired as an artist at that time. And I don't know. I think people look at Jay for, today's standards or what they see of him as today. But yeah, man, Jeezy was the hottest thing going. Jeezy was hotter than T.I. in Atlanta at that period. If he's talking about that period, it's no question.
No, Mike. Sometimes period. Like let me tell you what happened. when I was at work on Saturday, I went back into the kitchen. Right, niggas was playing Problem off of Trap or Die 2. They call me now, by the way.
They call you what?
And so I came back there. All the young dudes got Problem playing, got it blasting, and I start rapping the words to it. And they like, oh, OG, what you know about this? I was like, nigga, I was really outside when this was going on when you was in grade school. I'm like, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. And so down here, that's why I'm saying something like Problem by Jeezy off Trap or Die 2. Oh, I ain't about to hear no Jay in the back of my house. So it's like that shit Mad Max kicking. That's that arrogant New York shit.
Well, Mad Max said, Coach K said Jeezy was bigger than Hove in NYC. Your region has a low hip hop IQ.
No, you have a low hip IQ. You. And Jeezy was bigger than Jay in like 05, 06. He was. Jeezy was bigger than almost anybody in 05, 06.
Yeah, if we're talking about that time period, I mean, again, Jay's retired at that time. Jay is working, as president of Def Jam at that time. So I don't know the context of it. I watched the whole interview, but if that's the perspective he's coming from, there is some level of validity to that.
Hold on real quick, Mike.
Yeah.
Kaya David is saying y'all up against Rap Roundtable. That's dirty. First of all, if your ass was paying attention, Kaya, you would know I went on Rap Roundtable last week and I addressed all that. And we squashed all that. So stop kicking up dust and keeping shit going. That's that New York shit again. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you niggas think y'all know everything. You didn't even watch Rap Roundtable when I was on last week. We've literally talked about that. Deanie literally asked me, he's like, you kind of pulled up on our block, Coop. I'm like, no, not intentional.
Yeah. Those are our guys, man. And you had another interview as well. What was that last week? Fresh Out. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Fresh Out. That was fun too. Fresh Out is fun. They remind me of how we were when we first started. Like, not to say like we were super past them, but it's like there was a fun to it that it was like, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I remember that.
Just kicking the shit where it's like, the more organized you try to get, it's like that organicness, it's something fresh about it. And shout out to Fresh Out, man. But Drake, where do you think this what are we ready to rate this yet, or it's just a few songs? Yeah.
No, I mean it's like it's an Illmatic level type of like work in terms of like I think it's like 8 or 9 songs, right?
Yep. There was an
So
album I sent you by Jay Flash. I think that's a sleeper
yeah,
pick this year. Did you get a chance to listen to any of that?
I
'Cause-
rode some. I rode to it some. I was impressed by it, but I'm not gonna lie. Between the artist formerly known as Andre 3000 and between that Chainz and Wayne going hard, and between Drake putting out artwork for the first time in a long time, he ain't get much airtime. But I'm gonna give him some airtime this week because it appears to slow down.
yeah, yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat says, "What up, A2HH? Mike, what's good? You missed a day last week, but what's up? Coop, seen you all over the pods last week. Salute. Coop is out here working, sir. 007 with the super chat says, Jigga Road waves. Go crazy. Happened for a reason. That's a good point. Because who
Like,
jumped on whose record first?
like people think that when we talk about Jay, because he's been so deified, that we're hating. No, we're speaking realistically. It's like you're the one, like you mentioned this, Mike, like 50 low key kind of got Jay to retire because Jay didn't want to sit up there and quote unquote cede the throne like that.
Yeah.
And it definitely would have looked that way had he still been active while Get Rich or Die Trying came out.
Yeah, because he wasn't going to match those numbers.
He wasn't about to match that song quality either, Mike. Get Rich or Die Trying is pretty much better than everything Jay has made outside of Reasonable Doubt.
And you know what? From a commercial standpoint, if someone wants to argue that Get Rich or Die Trying is better than Reasonable Doubt, I can understand where they're coming from. I wouldn't say so because of the lyricism, but there's an argument.
The production's better. It's better produced than Reasonable Doubt.
If you were a record label, which album would you rather put out? It's not a fair question, right?
It's not a fair question. And this is what I'm saying, like, Mike, because of how my life has been and because of the things that's happened to me, it's like, I don't think you understand. I thought this nigga was getting indicted when Reasonable Doubt came out. Like, when dudes was, people pulling up on Southwest Boulevard and be like, what you think of that, Jay? I'd be like, man, I think it's going to be lucky if he here next year. Okay, so part of why I'm a 97 Hov fan, Mike, is because I really thought that this nigga was about to go to jail.
You say that every time we talk about the album, too.
No, so serious. When he came out with Volume 1 and I heard 1,000,001 Questions and Rhyme No More is when I really started paying attention to his rhymes because the stuff he was saying was so intricate and so street-oriented on a level that I hadn't heard yet that I was like, who cares how good he can rap? He's not going to be here. And so it wasn't until he was actually here a year later that I was like, oh, yeah, I was like, this nigga's special. That's why I'm partial to 97 Hov, like, because that's the MC that I started listening to. Because the first guy that I was listening to, I was like, oh, no. I was like, I was like, I literally had dudes getting locked up for saying way less than that.
Well, I just put in the chat, what's the better album, Reasonable Doubt, Get Rich or Die Trying. So I want to see what people in here are going to say on the poll. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Common and Preem and Saha's song with Pusha T. Let's go. Yeah, man. People are putting out music, and I'm loving it. 007 with the super chat says, I wish the album sounded like Scary Hours. Let's see. 007 also says, Drake should drop a rap album after the tour. I have a friend who think, you know what, I'm just going to say it. Ron thinks that J. Cole's going to drop Friday. Thinks he's going to drop on Black Friday. He thinks that, with the tour coming up and the fact that Drake dropped last week and the video they put out and the announcement they made that he's going to drop Friday. I would like to see that. I mean, I think it's a good day for him to do it. Timing sounds right, seems right. He's rapping on a super high level. I think that he would be right there in the album of the year conversation if he does that. Reasonable Doubt's winning the poll right now. Mad Max in the super chat says Cardi was... Huh?
It should be. And tell Kaya, stay gone. Kaya, stay gone. Don't rip your hood. Get the fuck up off according to hip-hop. Peace, nigga.
Kaya be trolling. Mad Max in the super chat says Cardi was hotter than Drake in 18. She wasn't bigger than Hov was globally. Huh. I get what you're saying, but we got to define big. You know what I'm saying? What quantifies that? Because if we're talking numbers, then she is. And I think that's the thing with Jay. And I love Jay. Super Jay fan. I don't think people quantify Jay's status by the numbers, because if we did it by the numbers, it would be very different than what the adulation is. So when you say bigger, you're talking about something intangible, seems like. You know what I mean? Because even in Jay's prime, if we're talking who's bigger, Nelly was bigger. It could be argued that Ja Rule was. Ja Rule was selling more records than Jay in the early 2000s. He was.
Ja more than everybody except for Nelly.
Except for Nelly and Eminem. I'm going to include Eminem in that too. And so, yeah. And I think that we get caught up in songs as opposed to actual stats. And people would think the only dudes moving units is Pimp, M, Pimp, Juice, and us. But when he said us, he didn't say Jay-Z. He said us. He's talking about the whole label. These guys are selling records that their whole label's selling. You know what I'm saying? Slick One Hit with the super chat says, did you guys get a chance to listen to Larry June and Cardo's new album, The Night Shift? I heard about it. I heard great things about it. Haven't had a chance to listen to it, but let me write that down on my notes. Tell us what it sounds like so far. It sounds like it's good. It's hard?
That's a top 5 album. That's a top 5 album this year.
Is it? Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead.
How about this? Outside of the social, outside of Killer Mike's rhetoric, I find it to be a superior album to Michael. Like when I listened to the Larry June, I literally said to myself, I was like, okay, this might be the next best album that I've heard this year next to Magic 3. I literally had that thought listening to it. It's like that. That Larry June and Cardo is going.
Oh, I got to check this out. Jay Short with the super chat says, Jay lost the cultural influence argument to Ye. Whew, he did. He's losing the grassroots elder statesman to Nas. He's losing the verses to Tupac, sales to Eminem, and people are speaking against him openly. He needs music. I think that's an interesting assessment. I can't say you're wrong on any of those things. He has the money, though. That's what he does have.
That's what I mean. Is like, how much is money really worth to you? Because I hate to be the one to break it to you. All these other dudes got money too.
Oh no, I'm not talking about me. I don't care about any of that stuff.
No.
I'm talking about to the fans. That'll be the first thing they say. Oh, Jay don't care about making music. He's a billionaire.
First of all, he's not a billionaire. He don't have $1 billion liquid. Okay, that's a billionaire. Okay, so like that's why I mean, even when he's like, I'm a billionaire, it's like you and your wife collectively are close to $1 billion, not in liquid, not liquid. Okay, like I got a nephew worth $1 million, and he told me he's like my net worth is $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm only XX liquid. I'm like, I already know, fam. Yeah, so it ain't like when people is talking about Jay's money, it's like you really don't know how money works, do you?
Oh, this is crazy. KCO with the super chat says, put every song title together and we have half an Andre verse. I didn't want to tell y'all too much about me and Gip's conversation today, but Gip actually said that. He actually said that. He didn't say half. I was like, I don't want to give away too much, but I was like, so what do you say to the people that have a problem with there are no bars on here? He was like, put every song title together and you got bars. So I don't know if that's been publicized out there or, whatever. Mal7 with the super chat says, Reasonable Doubt is better, but I'd rather listen to Get Rich or Die Trying. What's that?
No, Jay is not a billionaire. Jay does not have $1 billion liquid dollars, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all talking about him and his wife collectively, and even then, it's probably barely $1 billion liquid. I get tired of people saying, like understand how money and economics work here in America and understand what you pay in taxes. All right? Like, he doesn't have $1 billion liquid. He doesn't. I'm sorry. Like, get over it. This is what I'm saying. You see how people deify him? They're like, yes, he do. I'm like, well, what proof? Like, go show me the economic cycle where you can see $1 billion liquid dollars out of him.
007 with the super chat says, Reasonable Doubt has better bars. Get Rich or Die Trying is the better hip-hop album. Which one you rather listen to? Guess it depends on the mood, right?
I mean, just for me, Reasonable Doubt is more the aesthetic of a rap album that I listen to. How about this? There are more classic tracks on Reasonable Doubt to me than on Get Rich or Die Trying. And so I think it's a better album because of that. But it's not like it's by much. They would be in the same level. Like, I don't think Reasonable Doubt is a top 10 rap album. I don't think Get Rich or Die Trying is, but I think they both fall in that 20 range.
Kenny with the super chat says, let's talk the new Nas I Am D Springs. I guess, what are you saying? Oh, DS Sprint track list. Did they put the track list out? Oh, if they put the track list out, we need to. I'm gonna find that real quick so we could talk that, because that's been the whole thing. Seeing how accurate this track list is. Ill Magic with the super chat says, I swear, I feel like Drake can release an album of him breathing, and people will still hold him high and tell us that we don't understand his frustration. Now, you know what? I'm not just saying this because I, sat down with a legendary Dungeon family member today, but I did see something that I thought was interesting. Mariah the Scientist posted this, and she's been a big proponent of the fact that black artists get thrown into these hip hop or urban categories regardless of what they make. And she posted Pitchfork's review on Andre's album. And it categorized this album as a rap album. And she said, we can sit here and not even spit a bar and play a flute and get thrown in a rap category. And I think that was very interesting. I think that's an interesting thing to even talk about. But yes, this is not a rap album. And one of the things that I got from the conversation I had today is these guys want to be viewed as artists. And they came in the game being artists. And they were signed to an R&B label, so they had to deliver melodic music with rap undertones that were of that era as well. So they're there to, look at CeeLo. Look at what Dre evolved to. They have not been trying to run from rap, but they wanted to be more thought of as artists all around. But regardless of what you're doing, they're going to throw that rap label on you. And Pitchfork just proved it by throwing rap onto this album that has literally nothing to do with rap.
Have you heard it?
I've heard it.
What did you think?
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice instrumental album. It's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to really quantify the levels of instrumental albums. I sit around here and listen to Coltrane all the time, but it's not that, you know what I mean? The flute is not prominent. It's kind of like what I thought it was going to be. It was going to be a lot of, instrumentalists, I don't want to say classically trained instrumentalists, but career instrumentalists coming together in a jam session type of way for that genre. And yeah, it's some nice music to listen to while you're cleaning the house or meditating or whatever. But those are my thoughts on it. I don't really know how to rate that per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't say it was bad. It was, it was well put together. It was all those things. But maybe I'm just not trained in that facet to rate that genre of music.
What genre is it, Mike? What was that?
I would call it, if I had to label it, I'm going to label it easy listening. I would say soft jazz or something, you know what I'm saying? But it's definitely not alternative hip hop.
It's not jazz. That's not jazz.
Yeah. Well, I guess when I say jazz, I'm thinking the swinging of the drums and things like that. But yeah, easy listening would probably be the category I would throw it in. But it's an interesting topic because I don't understand how anyone could just throw the rap label on it. But we don't allow our artists in general, to switch categories too much. Is that fair to say?
I really don't have a problem with him on a fundamental, on an artistic level. I think you should explore all of your gifts.
Right.
Okay? I want to be very, very clear about that. But I'm tired of explaining this to black people in this country. We have a responsibility to each other. And hip hop is big enough culturally that I say this comfortably. He has a responsibility to this region and to this city that he's never held himself accountable for. And although artistically, if that's literally where the wind blows him, he's more than welcome to explore that. And he should. But he's never been mindful of us. And I'm officially like off of like talking about him in any real rap connotations anymore, because it appears to me at every turn he tries to treat rap and hip hop like, oh, that's just something I did when I was a kid. I don't know any better. And it's like, well, quite frankly, I don't know how to say it. That's that oppressor talk again that I keep talking about, how when black men get money, they start behaving and acting and talking like they're oppressors. That's some shit an old white man who doesn't know anything about hip hop would say, quite frankly. And as far as the actual project itself, and I'm not being funny when I say this, like, you know, I tend to be an end-to-end candle burner. And so I need like ambient noise and like ocean waves and stuff like that sometimes to help me sleep. And this music falls in that category of music or ambient noise or sounds and instrumentation that I literally play when I'm trying to go to sleep. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying that like with some very real honesty about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I did a post on Twitter, Mike, where, and I want our audience to hear this and understand this. Imagine if KRS-One only did the Boogie Down production albums, Mike. Like after, what was the last one? Edutainment?
Nah, the last one I thought was Sex and Violence.
Sex and Violence. So he does Criminal Minded, by all means, Edutainment, Sex and Violence. Mm-hmm. Mike, imagine you don't hear from KRS-One for literally 2 decades outside of a verse or two a year. And then he comes back and says, I want to play the bagpipes.
And we're like, we lost our guy.
How do you think New Yorkers would feel? And so I get all the jokes and everything, but I said that seriously as a matter of perspective. Like I said a little joke at the end. I said, you know, this is the bagpipe I'm smoking on, like kind of like this is the way the wind blew me.
Right.
All jokes aside, think about who KRS-One is to hip-hop culture, specifically in New York. Imagine that he did something like that. It would never be forgiven. Like, niggas would really be upset. And so what I have a problem with is that people who aren't from down here acting like I have no right to feel some type of way. It's like, yes, I do. If this was happening to one of yours who literally helped inspire an entire region to rap like a KRS-One or a Rakim or a Kane, you would feel a certain type of way. You just haven't had to deal with that yet. But now that we have dealt with it, I'm out.
Mall7 with the super chat says, I've told people Jay-Z is not a billionaire and they think I'm hating. I'm just speaking facts. People today hate facts. Thanks, Coop, for clarifying. Anime Bros Podcast with the super chat says, don't talk about another man's pockets. You don't know what he has. Respectfully, how is Get Rich or Die Trying better than The Blueprint? The Blueprint is more cohesive and better produced. Is it?
Hold on.
I think The Blueprint's cohesiveness has a problem with Ola Ovito and Jigga That Nigga Jigga and Renegade, in my opinion.
Hold on, Anime Brothers. Specifically when it comes to you New York dudes, all you dudes talk about is Jay's money. So that's not fair for you to pull up on us when all y'all been doing is reverencing this man's money and bringing it up for years. Y'all been the main one pocket watching the dude. All I'm saying is if you know anything about how businesses is run, his business and his name and the businesses that he is associated with might be worth $2 billion, but he's not. Because here's the reality of the matter. He has business partners who own stakes in things. He has taxes to pay. He has people he has to pay. And for me, and this is just from the richest person that I ever met, they told me the money that you really count is the liquid money, not the net. And so he doesn't have $1 billion or $2 billion liquid. That's not me pocket watching. I just got an A in economics, Mike, and an A in accounting, and an A in calculus. It's just like fundamental shit I understand. It's not that complicated if you actually know how to read a ledger, if you've ever run a business, if you understand how business works. So really, us as black men need to stop running around thinking that we know how money works when we really don't, and actually educate ourselves like I did. Like, I thought I knew how money worked, Mike, and then I got formally educated on how money works. So it's like, respectfully to Anime Brothers, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not the one pocket watching. It's been most of y'all riding his dick all this time about his money that have been pocket watching. I've actually said, oh no, he's second, and it's all about the rap shit that he's second. Nothing to do with the money.
Peter Parks to the
Respectfully learn
super
how
chat.
money works before you talk.
Peter Parks to the super chat says it shows how they. Hold on 1 second. Man, Lennox, man, is hitting me, man. I'm gonna let him know I'm doing the show real quick. He must be trying to sell me something. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, Peter Parks to the super chat says it shows you how they try to marginalize black music and artists as a whole, but black artists aid in that. No, really. I mean, I think Prince was one of the big ones early on. Prince and Michael, actually, where they tried to box Michael into, black music, and then you sit there and listen to Thriller, and you have a song like a Beat It, and you have a song that's like, is this quote unquote R&B black music to you? And Prince just broke the mold wide open. Like, I can make anything. And at that time, the American Music Awards, and if you guys would go back and even look at the on YouTube, 1985 American Music Awards, they literally had a category. It said Best Black Artist, right? Because they knew if you throw Prince in one of these other categories, you throw him in this rock category, you're not going to beat him. So yes, you have to put him over here so that your Bruce Springsteens could win something. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mike, I'm glad that you brought that up. Do you understand that every time I've ever talked about Prince, I've never referenced him as an R&B artist, right?
Right.
Have you? Let's Go Crazy is not an R&B song.
It's not.
When that's not an R&B song.
Purple Rain's not an R&B album. It's a rock album.
It's not. Like Darling Nick, that's what I mean. Like, those are rock songs. Like, Darling Nikki's a rock song. Let's Go Crazy is a rock song. Blue is a techno like fusion song. It's like the only R&B on there is maybe I Will Die for You.
Maybe The Beautiful Ones.
The Beautiful Ones, yeah, The Beautiful Ones is R&B.
And maybe Purple Rain itself.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, that's a rock. Yeah, that's a power ballad, really.
That's a rock anthem, Mike. That's that Tom Petty, Springsteen shit. He just does it better than those guys.
You're right.
Like Prince rarely makes R&B records. Like, you know why we love Diamonds and Pearls, the record, so much? That's an actual R&B record that he made. Mm-hmm. He usually didn't do that.
He shows you can do it all.
Exactly. He's a rock star. Prince was a rock star. He's the best guitar player ever.
Best I've ever heard. You know what? The only person I put in, and I've been doing my whole Jimi Hendrix thing. That's the only person I could possibly put over him because of how far ahead of his time he was. Kind of like on some Wilt Chamberlain, Rakim type shit. But if we're talking about overall, Prince is the best I've ever heard.
Mike, when he played My Guitar Gently, I'm thinking, how many people can steal the show by coming out and playing the guitar and not singing a note?
No, they're sitting there looking at him. These are legends looking at him like he's the guy.
Like,
Jay Short with the super chat says, I asked my mom a Jay-Z song. She didn't know. She knows California Love, More Money, More Problems. Mama said Knock You Out, Drop It Like It's Hot. Even I Can. How can Jay be as big as they say he is with no iconic songs? When I was putting together the top 50 hip-hop songs of all times list, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, I was looking at the songs that were on there for me, like Summertime, The Choice Is Yours, Black Sheep, Mom Playing Tricks on Me. It's hard to find a Jay song that I feel really fits in there without me forcing it in there. I feel like I would be forcing Hard Knock Life in there. I feel like I would be forcing You Don't Know in there because of who made it. You know what I mean? And so I can understand where Jay Short's coming from on that.
Like, how about this? It depends on what your aesthetic is and how you like to make a list. Like, I'll give you an example. For me, Brooklyn Zoo by Old Dirty Bastard is a top 50 rap song.
It's just crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's a top 50 rap song. But so is It Takes Two by Rob Bass and Easy Rock. So is I Got It Made by Special Ed.
Right.
So I think that is like aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? They're like easy choices, like Cream, Deep Cover, Nothing But a G Thing, Dear Mama, I'll Be There For You, One More Chance remix. Like they're of course, Fight the Power. Like they're easy picks. And I think what people are really speaking to when it comes to Jay is not like he doesn't have stuff that's viable or maybe belongs in there depending on what you make the list. He doesn't have a sure shot like I feel like all the other great MCs have. But
the
you
Paid
can
in Full.
Yeah, but you could maybe sprinkle Nas in there with that. Although I think The World Is Yours and Made You Look are better contenders than any two J records you would throw out.
I agree with that. I think the Illmatic kind of gives Nas that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that
It Ain't Hard to Tell might be top. It Ain't Hard to Tell is really the Nas record.
I think It Ain't Hard to Tell would be the one I would pick. Honestly,
right?
Yeah. KS with the super chat says, if the I Am album did drop back in the day, Coop, do you think I would have been considering a better album? It would be considered, a better album than Life After Death?
The double?
Yeah, the original I Am. You think it would have been better than Life After Death? I don't think so. That's just me.
It's so tough to say because Biggie dying, like, you know what I'm saying, like, did something to the whole ethos of the album. Like, the album ends with You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You, Mike. Yeah. So the sentiment is just so striking that he understood what was going on and where he was. I will tell you this, like, the version of I Am that I heard is more accessible and fun to listen to than It Was Written, but not as lyrically intricate as It Was Written. Like, that's what I thought was beautiful about it. It's like, oh no, he's being reflective and poignant like the guy on Illmatic, but he's got bar level work that's like It Was Written, but it's more palatable than It Was Written is. In terms of like there ain't, like Blazer 50 is easier to digest than the setup and shootouts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
I got you. I love them all three of them.
Yeah.
Thumbs up in the chat. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat. He says, I listen to instrumental albums and or jazz albums all the time, especially early before dawn and when I'm in the gym. So this is in my bag. Dope. Jay Short, he's talking about the Andre album. Jay Short with the super chat says, when Sting left the Police to make adult contemporary pop music, people went crazy. U2 fans hate their dance album. When Madonna even works with black producers, her fans are pissed. Other groups demand loyalty. JY with the super chat. Go ahead.
Take a Bow, written by best songs.
Yeah. JY with the super chat says, Andre's album is a nice ambient mood. I throw it on my study playlist. Nothing special, though I called it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's a very nice album for what it is. I think that if you want to say it's groundbreaking because of who put it together, maybe. But other than that, again, maybe I would have to listen to some more instrumental albums to actually see where the ground was broken here. You know, it's just a nice vibe. It's a nice album.
Mike, what Don Guillory put Hard Knock Life and Big Pimpin' in the chat. And I think that's where Jay has a problem. Is like, those are his two biggest records. That's not top 50 material, frankly.
I would like for somebody to explain to me, and I know it was a big song at the time, but how is Big Pimpin' the top 50 hip-hop song all time? I don't think it aged very well. I mean, if you stack it up with those other records that we're talking about, I don't think it aged very well. The subject matter was just for the time, which was cool. I don't think it was meant to be a timeless all-time hip-hop record. Hard Knock Life, I think Hard Knock Life, once again, we get enamored with the fact that it's important because it's Jay's come out party to the world. But if you take that part away from it, it's not an all time hip hop record. It's not. And I love the song. I mean,
No. Okay, so this is what I mean. And I think here's one of the things that has happened over time that we really see with Jay. And the master businessman and charismatic man that he is, and he deserves kudos for this. It's like, nah, fam, his best songs is the B-sides. And here's his problem.
He knows this
with
too.
That. Hold on. Here's the problem with that, Mike. Oh, as much as problematic as Who Shot You is, there's a top 50 record, and he don't have one B-side like that. He don't have a single with the hip-hop ethos of A Made You Look or It Ain't Hard to Tell, except for Dead Presidents, and it's not better than those two records. And so his problem is that the people that he's closest to make better B-sides than him, and that's his strength. As far as hits go, he don't want no smoke with Pac or Big. And so he's really in a tighter space than people realize. And that's why I've always told people, I'm not joking, like all the jail talk, like aside from when Reasonable Doubt came out, Mike, that's why I love 97 Hove. Because MC-wise, if you're talking about something of his that deserves to be top 50, it would probably be 1,000,001 Questions and Rhyme No More.
1,000,001
It would probably
crazy.
be Imagine Players. You feel what I'm saying?
When we did our verses, 1,000,001's the one that threw me off. When he has records like 1,000,001, The Evil's, Imaginary Player. Those are his strongest moments.
Right.
With the exception of that little run on the Blueprint with You Don't Know, Heart of the City. Those are his strong conversational Jay.
Like Mike, like lyrical exercise is what I go to the Blueprint for. You feel what I'm saying? That's not gonna make a top 50 list, Mike. You know? All I need is not making a top 50 list. Heart of the City's not making a top 50 list. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, we're talking about 50 songs in the 40 years of hip hop's existence. I can't put that record above a Fight the Power. Even if we were gonna go, let's go to Public Enemy's Welcome to the Terror Dome. Can you really put those records above Welcome to the Terror Dome? There's no way to play those back to back and say, yeah, I'm picking that record.
How about Get At Me Dog with DMX? Does he have a record like that literally just turned the game on its ass? Like, X changed the game with one record.
He did.
That's top shit. Like, one record changed the game. Like, Mike, when I saw the video for the first time, it literally gave me chills because I thought niggas was getting too happy because they was. And he stopped all that shit. And I was like, thank you. Stop all these happy-ass niggas from running around here.
I think there are 3 records that, and I've said this on this show before, I think there are 3 records that just debut singles that were probably the most gutsy, ballsed out singles ever. Get At Me Dog's in that 3 for me. Cell Therapy by Goody Mob's there. And so is Through the Wire from Kanye. And
No,
man. This is my thing with Through the Wire. And I know you hate Ye or whatever, but
I don't hate anybody. I hate any of my...
I'm joking. But this is my thing with Through the Wire. The fact that, because when I first heard the record, this was my first time really hearing a full record with just him, because I heard him on the bounce or whatever. But the fact that this man went out there and put his first single out there with his mouth wired shut and him not sounding like he's supposed to sound, this was more about the story as opposed to, I want people to really get who I am on the first listen. Because when you put out your first single, or when you're thinking about putting out your first single, you want to have your best foot forward. You want to have your best rhymes. You want to have your best start off lines. This man was like, fuck how I really sound. This is how I sounded in the moment, in my worst moment. And for somebody to put that out first, that takes a lot of balls. And I got to give him credit for that.
That's fair. No, I get what you're saying. Like, I think, how about this? Like, this is just for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people think I feel some type of way about Ye. I'd like to point out that all of y'all voted for your white ass oppressors, and I voted for Kanye. So y'all the ones who need to be quiet.
See, Kanye got a coup vote. There it is.
They're gonna give me some better options. I'm voting for Kanye again. For for real. And I just never dug through the wire like that. I think All Falls Down is a better record. I think Slow Jams is a better record. I think Jesus Walks is a better record. I think Let Me Down is a better record. Like,
you know what? I can agree with you on all those things. Your camera went out for a second. Okay. I can agree with you on all those things, but I think that the intent with Through the Wire is
talking
out
about,
of here.
okay, so Get At Me Dog has that same intent, but it has the execution, and it's a game changer. I don't know if Through the Wire is all those things, and that's why it's like when you went Through the Wire, I'm like, I get what you're saying fundamentally. I just don't know if the execution is there.
007 with the super chat says, do Cole and Kendrick or Drake have a top 50 record?
Hell no.
I don't think so. It's too early to see, maybe, but
it's early. It's just hell no.
I will say this. Kendrick might have the best argument. Someone could argue that All Right is a top 50 hip-hop song. For what it meant for its era, it was a protest anthem. 2020, 2018, all those things. So there could be an argument made for that, but the other ones, I don't think so.
Here's what Kendrick's problem is that, well, I love All Right, but that's not better than Imaginary Players.
It's more impactful, but I agree with you. It's not.
Right.
JY with the super chat says, Coop, is there a top 50 Ye song? Jesus Walks.
I was actually about to say, shout out to my guy Andrew. Mirror Music is going to have his first live show, Mike, Wednesday.
Nice.
This Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And we're covering Hey Jude by the Beatles and Jesus Walks by Kanye, because I do think that Jesus Walks is a top 50 rap song. And I do think it is one of the most important rap records ever. And Andrew and I are going to be talking about Hey Jude from the Beatles and Kanye's Jesus Walks for our first live episode Wednesday at 1 o'clock on Mirror Music. So if you actually want to hear me talk positively about Ye outside of voting for him, you should maybe pull up one Wednesday at 1 o'clock while your mama upstairs cooking the yams and getting the turkey and hams and the potato salad. Like when mom's is whipping up in the kitchen, you should just come to the basement like me and Andrew are about to do and check it out. I have some very insightful things to say about Jesus Walks, and people need to understand where Kanye is different is that Kanye makes the type of records that register with white people too, because he's very, very pro-black in a sense, but the themes that he discusses really don't have a color to them. Jesus Walks is one of them. All Falls Down is one of them. Like Kanye really doesn't, he really doesn't, he talks more about race outside of the music than he does inside of the music. His themes are very timeless, and Jesus Walks is the most timeless theme.
You know, one of my favorite bars on there, and it's so real and it's so true, especially for that time. I mean, if you lived in the 2003, 2004 hip-hop era, it was all, mainstream was all about gun talk and all that stuff. But anyway, when he said a rapper can rap about anything except for Jesus. And that's crazy when you think about it, and it's the truth. A rapper could literally rap about anything except for religion.
Mike, I'm going to need you to stop stealing my notes without knowing, because the main part that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it be known now, is how, you see how quick people are to sit up here and want to talk and argue about Jay's money? But they don't want to talk about God or Jesus or Moses or Muhammad or Allah. You get what I'm saying? It's almost like it's frowned upon, but you niggas quick to pull up and want to talk about a nigga's money when he get a few bucks, though. And it's a little, and it goes, I'm going to keep on saying, this kind of goes back to what W.E.B. Du Bois was saying in The Souls of Black Folks about how we're more concerned with financial gain and having material, shiny things in our own fucking souls. And we have to fucking do better.
Patricia.
And so shout out to Kanye for actually making the record, because he tore down a lot of walls and he exposed a lot of the phony shit that we do with that record. That's part of what I want to talk about. It's like Kanye low-key put our community on blast with that record, Mike.
He did. Patricio with the super chat says, Mike D. Coop, would you consider Juvenile's High a bold and innovative top 50 rap record? Personally, I have it in my top 5. It shifted hip hop. I agree with that. You know what? Let's add Ha to that. Ha built Cash Money Records, which is a
Check.
huge iconic
Check.
staple. And you know what? It could be argued that Cash Money, from a longevity standpoint, might be the greatest hip hop label ever. That could be argued. You got that record that built that house, and it did it from such an original standpoint. I remember first hearing how I laughed at it, and then I got it, and then I
Me.
understood it, and then you couldn't stop it.
My brother Vidal, who's now no longer with us, rest in peace, Vidal. He passed away a couple years ago. He's one of the brothers I looked up to MC wise when I was going to high school at West Charlotte. Like one of my hip hop snapshots of my life is Vidal coming out of the main building from the counselor's office. He's wearing his army fatigue jacket, and he's got his headphones on, and he's bobbing his head. We need a paper chase. We got your block on fire. Remaining. I was like, yo, I stopped him. Like, this is my big brother. I stopped him. I was like, you listening to that shit? And he looked at me. He was like, Coop. He was like, you fucking tripping. This shit fire.
It is.
He was like, he literally, he was like, no. Like people know me. It's like back in the day, if I didn't like you did something and you was my brother, I put my hand on your chest, be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? He put his hand back on my chest. He's like, no, you fucking tripping, Coop. And it took me a while, but it's a easy top 50 rap song.
The only reason why I wouldn't say it's easy is because he has Back That Ass Up Too, which is one as well. So it's like he might have two. Might have two.
I don't think it's as groundbreaking, and I don't think it's better.
I don't think it's better either.
Just to drop it like it's Hotline that makes it so timeless, really.
I think the beat is timeless. Both beats are timeless. I mean, I think really if we look back at it, and we're going to talk about this Wayne and 2 Chainz in a second, I think it's two of Manny's strongest beats, along with, Big Ballin' from the Big Timers, which we saw a remake of recently. So
that's hard too. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. Jay Shaw with the Super Chat says, people talk about how how popular Jay is. Top 50 hip hop records aside, he doesn't have a song that crosses generations like In the Club, Today Was a Good Day, or Jesus Walks. Maybe Empire State of Mind. I don't even know if Empire State of Mind has the legs that some of those songs that you mentioned have. I always liked Empire State of Mind, but doing this show, I realized that you guys don't like Empire State of Mind. I was like, okay. I thought
not that good.
I thought the song was cool, man. I thought Alicia Keys did her. I think Alicia Keys did her thing on the hook. This is Michael talking. Mike D is saying Alicia Keys did her thing on that hook.
So how about this, Mike? Let's look at it in this perspective. Empire State of Mind is one of those records. Like, where does it fit on an American Gangster? Like, if you were putting Empire State of Mind on American Gangster, where does it rank? Does it make the album?
It doesn't fit. It's one of those. You're talking about from a quality standpoint, right?
Standpoint.
Quality standpoint, it'd be middle of the road. And I'm only pausing because it's hard to quantify because it's so different than everything on that album. Do we have another album that can throw it on the blueprint or something?
Okay. Let's think Hitmaker J. So let's go to volume. Where does that fit on volume 2? That's why the record's not that good. That's why it's like it's not like that. It's like, nah, give me Hard Knock Life, give me Nigga What, Nigga Who, give me Money Cash Hoes. Give me It's All Right, give me Money Ain't a Thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, give me a whole lot of records before.
Where does it rank in Jay's catalog, period? Is it a top 25 Jay song?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't even know if that's a top 50 J record.
Michael Williams with the Super Chat says, do you think that any of Cole's recent features are better than Andre's verse on Sorry by T.I.? Yeah, I think a few of them. I think 16 is probably Dre's strongest feature, I guess, in recent time.
No, I won't do it. Ask Mike D. I'm out.
Yeah, you're out of the Andre business. Pull me back in.
That's my new thing. You about to get tagged so much. Coupon answer the question about Andre, Mike. You answer. I'm out.
Patricio with the Super Chat says, I'm happy y'all agreed with the Juvenile hot take. I was 8 when it dropped, and it was all over Chicago airways. My brothers and still rap it. It's a classic. It is. It is.
How's the shit?
Oh
Like,
no,
Haas,
it's
how
incredible.
about this? Haas may be a top 5 song that came out of the South. Like,
It
maybe.
might be.
It's
And you
not,
know
it's,
what? The beat, it might be it. I think the beat might be a top 20 beat, man. The beat's crazy.
I'm with the top 20 beat thing. I was about to say, it's like, if we're doing a top 20 songs out the South, it's like, no, it's up there with Cell Therapy, Mind Playing Tricks on Me, What You Know by T.I.,
Oh, it is.
Bomb for Baghdad by Big Boy and the artist formerly known as Andre. Like, yeah, it's up there. Like, it's up there, up there.
High level, man.
High level.
You want to talk this anniversary, and we can jump into the 2 Chainz and Wayne album.
Who anniversary?
Not Andre. See, you got me talking Andre. Dr. Dre's 2001 has celebrated 24 years. And now you want to talk about an album with some motherfucking bangers. Now that I remember when that album dropped, that was my senior year in high school. Aging myself. Damn, my senior year was 24 years ago. It's insane.
25 over here?
Yeah, first semester, right? And so I remember Fred. Fred was really quiet, man. He didn't really say too much. He was a cool dude. Lived on Six Flags Drive. And man, he was like, man, that Dr. Dre is fire. It's like, because all we heard at that moment, I think, was still DRE. And the rollout for 2001, well, which was going to be the Chronic 2000, which is a long story, but, Suge Knight put out the Chronic 2000 first, and so Jay had to just call his shit 2001. But anyway, the rollout for that, the MTV coverage, I remember when Dr. Dre and Snoop were performing Still DRE in Times Square, like this was a big deal. And Hype Williams did the video for Still DRE, and when we heard that shit, I knew then. I was like, yo, man, and I still believe this to this day. Still DRE to me, one of the greatest hip hop songs I've ever heard. And so the anticipation was there, and that album delivered. And I don't know about you, but maybe because we were driving around at this time, and we teenagers with cars and stuff now, I don't think I ever heard a hip hop album sound that good. Like, just from an engineering standpoint, at that point in 1999, I don't think I'd ever heard sounds come through my speakers that crisp and that on point. You know what I mean?
So I want to be very, very careful about how I approach this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm going to shout this dude out for the rest of my life. Shout out to Chris the Glove Taylor, who literally changed my life, changed the way I thought about hip hop just from interviewing him. Shout out to him. He did fucking Explosive, if memory serves.
Shout out to the Glove for showing love and coming through and doing the 3-part interview. It was amazing. You did a great job doing that interview.
I did phone tapping and Explosive. Like, you can retire off that in rap. That makes you royal. I'm with you, Mike. On an engineering and production standpoint, I don't think I ever heard an album sound so clean and so crisp, production-wise, from beginning to end. I don't think that I've ever heard anything like it. And this is what I mean about, like, seizing the moment. As much as I love that, and I was outside, and so was you, and it's like, no, we riding around, we able to do stuff, we at the parties, we at the shows. Actually, that came out my freshman year of college, so it was like a big, big, big deal on the campus at UNCG in Greensboro. It was a big, big deal. I say this respectfully. Even for all of that praise and all that cleanliness and all that gloss and all that sheen, it's not the Chronic, though, Mike. And so every time that I think about it, it's probably the best quote-unquote follow-up to a top 10 album ever. Because the Chronic is a top 10 rap album.
Right.
So as far as sequels go, because it essentially is the Chronic 2, he just had to name it 2001 about all the legal shit.
Right.
There's a better follow-up, but let's not get it twisted. There's not one beat on there that when it drops the way Nothing But a G Thing drops, you're like...
Nothing But a G Thing is a hands-down top 50 hip hop song all time. Probably top 15.
Top 10.
Yeah. Now,
Easy.
still DRE, you got to think about that, and you got to make all kind of arguments and this and that. I feel like, yeah, and it's interesting to me, and I've said this on this show before. I think Dr. Dre has rebranded himself in a sense and made still DRE his seminal piece as opposed to G Thing for whatever reason, and I don't know why.
But also too, Mike, I'm also biased because it's like for me, the Chronic is when I realized hip hop was going to be big. Because my mom is not a hip hop fan, but we were living on Memorial Drive when the Chronic came out, and my mom and her friend Tar actually went to high school with Outkast when they were like with, especially I think Big Boy at Tri-Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, Tar and my mom played the Chronic, and they were riding to the Chronic. Now Tar was a cool ass chick, and I knew that she fucked with hip hop, but my mom didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Dre had my mama listening to the Chronic. And it was the first time that I heard dudes on the block on Memorial Drive that wasn't from, like, it was the first time I heard music outside of Atlanta on a block on the east side. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I didn't know anybody but Shadi and Kilo. And Tag Team had just dropped Whoop, There It Is. And the nigga used to sell Yay up the street. You know what I'm saying? Before he dropped the record. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was like I didn't know anything outside of Two Live Crew and Uncle Luke and like niggas from Atlanta before the Chronic. And niggas was on the block playing the Chronic. So for me, it's that moment that I realized hip hop existed, like outside of the east side of Atlanta, outside of zone, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm forever stuck on that moment in my mind of like waking up every morning that summer and like somebody's playing These Nuts or Nothing But the G Thing. Now, a Little Ghetto Boy or Stranded on Death Row. Or Dre, oh man, when Dre Day used to bump in the speakers, niggas used to have the big ass Bronco Jeeps with the rims on them and shit, and Dre Day would be bumping out the back of that shit, the whole block be shaking on Memorial Drive. And so, like, I don't know how to replace that feeling as a kid. It's just my ears tell me 2001 is better produced, but it ain't that feeling. Like, the Chronic infiltrated the east side of Atlanta.
I will say this, from a technical standpoint, you can make the 2001 argument, but there's something about the feel of the first Chronic and just being an overall balanced take. I think the content matters too. Even when I talk about, you know, the Chronic in relation to Doggy Style as well, like the content matters with that. What I was gonna say though, the problem, if there is a problem with 2001, it might be the most top heavy hip hop album ever. That first half is insane. The second half is underwhelming. Not because it's underwhelming in a vacuum, but because that first half is insane. Like, you know, that album should have been shorter, and I understand why those songs at the back end of the album made it, because they're great songs. Bang Bang is dope. You know what I'm saying? LA Niggas is dope. But that shit ain't no Next Episode. It ain't The Watcher. It ain't Explosive. It ain't The Difference. You know what I mean? It's not those records.
No,
you're right. Still DRE's on there too, but it's like that first half, if that album would have been wrapped up. Now, you would talk about one album that would have been wrapped up in 10 or 11 songs. Oh, man. But, yeah.
First of all, he would never do an album that short.
Right.
But, yeah, Mike, if you want to talk about, like, I mean, for me, I think Forgot About Dre is track 10.
Mm-hmm.
The album does slide after that.
Yep, it does. The album slides after 10. But again, when you listen to those songs, I guess without that first half, like if you just randomly listen to Act Right, you're like, you know what, this song is dope as hell. Right. Yeah. Or Housewife.
Then go listen to The Watcher and tell me that you're going to listen to Act Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, the problem with the Chronic is the problem with 2001 is 2001. Like,
the problem with the Chronic. No, you were right, Mike. The problem with 2001 first is the Chronic, and then it's the first half of 2001.
Exactly. Do you think, because we always talk about Dre's mastery when it comes to sequencing and engineering, do you think being that top heavy is a bad sequencing job? Because maybe if this was been spread out a little bit more, maybe if Explosive is over here, maybe the album appears to be better overall. He put all the great stuff in the front. Is that bad sequencing?
can I tell you something? And I don't want to like ruffle too many feathers when I say this. Almost all Dr. Dre's classics, if you really go listen to them, with the exception of Doggy Style, Mike, the first half is better than the second half on all of them, and you can go check. Straight Outta Compton's first half is better than the second half. Niggas for Life first half is better than the second half, in my opinion. The Chronic's first half is better than the second half, Mike. I tell you, after Little Ghetto Boy, no, them first 6 songs on the Chronic, Mike, you can't fuck with those songs at all.
That's his MO. Yeah.
Little bit. As far as the first 6 songs that started, no, Mike, ain't nobody fucking with the first 6 songs on the Chronic.
I mean, even if you look at Get Rich or Die Trying.
I was about to say, Get Rich or Die Trying. Mike, the documentary.
Yeah.
How about this? I'm about to hit you with a weaker moment. No, Mike, all the dope shit on the Firm album is on the first half of the album, with the exception of a couple songs. Firm Fiasco, Phone Tap, Executive Decision, Firm Family. Yeah, that's the best part of the album. He always does that. And so his thing is to draw you in, and you're lost in it. But it's always been his motto. So when you're talking about sequencing, it's like, no, that's how Drake put the album together. Like, Drake gonna bang you out and wrap you in, and you gonna ride to the rest of it. He's always done that. Like, think about how the documentary starts, Mike. West Side Story, Dreams, Hate It or Love It, Higher, How We Do, No Church for Thugs, Put You on the Game. It's like, no, that first half way better than the second half.
Right.
Even though the second half got running, and don't worry, it's like, oh, no. That ain't how we do. That ain't how we do that. That ain't Put You on the Game. It's like he always does that. And so
do you think that hurts an album, though, in the long run? I mean, because it seemed to have worked for him, but...
I mean, it's hard to say that it doesn't work for him, Mike, when he is the author of about 5 or 6 of the 50 best rap albums we've ever heard.
It's true. Michael Williams in the Super Chat says, pick the better Jay-Z song, Dead Presidents 1 or 2, Friend or Foe, or Friend or Foe 98, 22 twos or 44 fours. I'm going to pick Dead Presidents 2. I'm going to go Friend or Foe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, I might surprise you here, 44 fours.
44 fours is a better mic performance, but I can't front. 22 twos is the rap record on Reasonable Doubt.
It is.
You understand?
I never liked the beat. I never liked the beat.
Either, Mike, but he shows you, like, first of all, you can see that he's a hustler. You know what I'm saying? On the first 6 records. On 22 twos is when you can tell it's like, no, this is a hustler with a lot of skills. Too much West Coast dick licking and too many niggas on a mission doing your best Jay-Z rendition. Too many rough motherfuckers. I got my suspicion that you're just a fish in a pool of sharks, nigga. Listen. Too bitches want to be shady. So if you a hoe, I'm going to call you a hoe. Too many bitches is shady. Too many ladies give these niggas too many chances. Too many brothers want to be lovers, don't know what romance is. Too many bitches stuck up from too many sexual advances. No question. Jay-Z got too many answers. No, that's the rap shit on the album.
It is. He's like, got to reach my quota. Like, he's rapping.
He's rapping.
Vicious rapping.
22 2.
44 fours, man. It's just amazing, man. Like, to me, 44 fours is just him as an amazing writer. And he doesn't really get into concepts often, but when he does a great job at it. I know a lot of y'all out there love Meet the Parents. I'm not a huge fan of Meet the Parents like that. But when he gets a concept like Girls, 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 I mean, he shines. I wish he would do that more. I mean, now if we're talking about what we would like to hear from Jay moving forward in this next era, I think conversational and concepts, if it's in him like that. You know what I mean? Because with his status, if he were to make a concept record like the ones we're talking about now, in today's time, people will lose their fucking minds.
You want to know what's crazy? Is that an old friend of mine hit me, and she hit me because she was watching a Jay interview, and she was like, I thought of you. She's like, because you're the only person I know down here that knows you're the shit the way he knows he's the shit, and like does all the verbal hand movements and shit. She was like, she's like, I know who your guy is. She was like, but you're more like Jay than you realize. and she told me that. And then I thought about my life a little bit, and I was like, well, my life is probably closer to Jay's. You know what I'm saying? Like with the shit that I've seen and experienced and been through. My ass was in court today. But when she said that, it made me go back. Like, he always knew before we knew who he was. Mm-hmm. And I always respected that about him. Like, he knew, like, when he said who's the best MCs, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas, it's like that wasn't a solid opinion outside of New York yet. But when I listened to Volume 1, I was like, well, I really don't have an argument against that.
Well, the thing is, man, just like, and I'll give T.I. props for this too. He was willing to lay that out there and earn it too, you know, and I'm going to deal with all the backlash that comes with it. And me saying that I'm top whatever, king of the South, or me saying that, you know, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas and all that. But he knew that if you had something to say about it, he was ready to back that. And I definitely respect that. You went out for a second, Coop.
Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm here. I'm just trying to get...
OJ Winston with the super chat says, bigger track, back that thing up or high. Also, still need that Pac and Biggie station head. It's on the way. I mean, we can set a date for that. I mean, the bigger record is back that thing up. The more important record is high, though. I mean, to be honest. I mean, that's just my perspective there. You want to start talking this 2 Chainz and Wayne? Because I know we got some football coming in a second.
No, the football game is on, but I mean, we can 2 Chainz and Wayne.
2 Chainz and Wayne. They just dropped Collie Grove 2. And man, I know I was getting a whole bunch of calls about it from Coop, Ron, other people talking about how fire it is and it is an album of the year contender. This is what I'll say about the album. And I have a whole lot to say about the album. My first piece of feedback, if you will, or first reaction, Wayne is rapping on a very, very high level. And I respect it and I appreciate it, man. Like, he is rapping at a very high level. Number 2, they really took the time to put together an album. In a time where people really aren't putting together albums, they're putting together songs and throwing them up for streams and this and that. They had a whole narrator, which was 50 Cent, by the way. And they actually wanted to make an album. Those Havoc records, yes, for people who haven't heard the album, Havoc has some production on there. Bro, those Havoc records, man. And then they delivered on it too, man.
Mike.
Oh, I can't see you still.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, though.
Oh, I can't. My camera's on.
Is it? Okay. Well, yeah, I don't see you.
My camera's on.
You want to go out and come back in? Because, yeah, I can't see you at all.
Hold on.
It's just showing the big Skype sign.
That's that bullshit. It is. I'm definitely up in this motherfucker. Like, I can see myself. You can't see me for real?
Let's see. Hang up and hit me right back. Yeah.
I see me now?
Huh?
Can you see me now?
I don't.
That's that bullshit. I'm calling right back because I want to talk about this Havoc shit.
Okay.
I'm not about to let this shit ride.
No, Havoc killed this shit. All right. Let's get Coop back in here. Yeah, Havoc's production is still stupid. Okay, you're back. I see you now.
Okay, so check it out, Mike.
Okay.
When I don't know how many times does have to make the beat on somebody else's album that's not a Mobb Deep album before we give him his flowers?
I don't know, man, because these records were crazy, man.
I've been telling you, it's like, oh no, he be doing the best. Like when he pulls up, it's like, nah, he be making the best beat on other niggas' albums. Mike, I told you, the setup is the best beat on it was written. I don't care what anybody says. Best beat on it, setup.
I'm not mad at that. You know what? Me and Damaris, shout out to Damaris, man. When I was at Alabama State, we would play the setup and just ride out to the instrumental at the end and rhyme on it. The setup was that record to do that on. Yes, Havoc's beats are crazy.
Okay, Mike. So on Fresh Out, you can see me, right? I'm just making sure you can see me.
Yeah. I see you. I see you. Hear you.
When I was on Fresh Out,
Mm-hmm.
we was running down why Hit is a top 10 producer, and I think I got to. I mean, there's Dre, there's RZA, there's Preem, there's Ye, there's Q-Tip, and then I think there's, and I think that's about it, Mike. But because and I forgot to mention Havoc, and that's my fault as a Mobb Deep fan for like not mentioning Havoc. But no, Mike, he done laced everybody else, and you know what them first 3 Mobb Deep albums sound like. And so it's like, no, he got about 2, maybe 3 classics. He is the author, like, hey, whatever Q-Tip helped with on the Infamous, he ain't do Shook Ones Part 2.
No.
That's Have. Hell on Earth is Have.
I guess the thing is, what else does Havoc need to do? You know what I'm saying? Like
nothing else. He's a top 10 producer all time, and I need people to treat him like it.
there's a bar that Wayne said here, man. That's why I'm looking down. I'm actually looking for the line. It was something that Wayne said. I think it was on the Bars song. He said something about. Man, I'm gonna find it in a minute. Michael Williams of the Super Chat says, part of the reason that you have Nas as the GOAT is due to his longevity. At what point do you put LeBron over Jordan based on longevity at the top level? I mean, look, if somebody wants to do that now, I can't argue that.
So first of all, LeBron's the second greatest player of all time, so it's not like he's far off from Mike. Mm-hmm. But here's the reality of the matter: there's no changing 6 for 6 with no game 7s, Mike. There's no changing.
So he's unbeatable.
It's literally like how about this? The stature that Nas is attained is because people have chinks in their armor too. Michael Jordan doesn't have any chinks, Mike. Listen to me. Him and Hakeem Olajuwon are the only 2 players that can say, no, I'm one of the 10 great offensive players and one of the 10 greatest defensive players who have ever played this game.
Yeah.
He's the most fundamentally sound players who ever played this game. He is the most athletic person who's ever played this game. He's the best scorer this game has ever seen. And it's just like, I love LeBron. No. Somebody told me like this. It's not that Michael Jordan's number one. It's that Mike's the only person who's really number one, that there's a separation between who's number 2. Like in any sport, field, or genre, it's like, no. It's like, let's go to my tennis shit, Mike. Right now, Novak Djokovic is the greatest tennis player of all time. Rafael Nadal is my guy. Novak ain't that much better than Nadal or Federer. No, Mike is like succinctly better than LeBron, and like you can tell. I'm sorry, like you can just tell. And even right now, and this is what I'm saying, like Mike, when people are talking about the longevity, like Curry and Durant are 35. What if they're doing this in 3 years? Because right now, Kevin Durant is second in the league in scoring, right behind Embiid, and literally by like a few tenths of a point. He's literally shooting 50% from the floor, like he always does. Mike, he's shooting 50% from 3. He's shooting 87% from the line. He's literally about to go into the top 10 scoring list. Steph just passed 22,000 points. Steph is averaging 30. Steph is shooting about 47% from the field. He's shooting about 54% from 3. He's shooting about 94% from the line. LeBron has always had people clicking on his heels. Mike ain't have nobody clicking on his heels.
Well, they would tell you that Mike played in a weaker era than LeBron.
Okay, Mike played with Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Karl Malone, and John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Matt Johnson, Moses Malone, Dominique Wilkins. No, he played against those guys. So I don't want to hear
Penny Hardaway, Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq, Penny, Grant Hill before the injuries. No, he played those guys.
Kobe.
He whooped those guys. You know, Shaq is the only guy to beat. Mike McGrady. Yeah. Shaq and Penny are the only guy to really beat him in the playoffs in his prime, and that's because he was out of shape.
Right. Yo, this was the line I was looking for. Wayne said, all we need is a track, and we run a train on you. Like, I know people will be like, oh, whatever, but there's so many double entendres there. Now, if Jay-Z said this, people would understand the double entendres that go on here. Like, all we need is a track, and we run a train on you. Come on, man.
I tell you what makes this an album of the year contender, because the production is there. Oh man, the production is there. The producers showed out on this album.
Oh yeah.
They
The
showed out.
concepts are there. I think the range and the versatility is there. You know what I'm saying? Like you got songs for every setting. They really made an album in like a traditional sense of making an album.
You know what this is? This is the way industry albums used to sound, Mike.
Yep, exactly.
And
Exactly.
and the reason that this album is an album of the year contender, Mike, we know Wayne is one of the greatest MCs of all time, right? That's safe to say. Is
He's
that
proving
fair?
it right now.
He's proving it right now. But here's the real reality of the matter. Mike, he's not out rapping 2 Chainz on this album. Chainz bar work on here is fucking stellar. And so I would hearken it to what Big Boy did on Aquemini, where it's like, oh no, I know that you think the other guy is that dude, but the other guy standing next to him is rhyming just as well as him. And that's why this album is great.
You know I
Chainz
love 2 Chainz, man. Like
showed his ass on this album, and I can't think of a better bar performance than he's had than this. Like 2 Chainz didn't bring, since we talk about Michael Jordan, 2 Chainz didn't bring A game to this album. He brought his A game to this album, Mike, and he deserves some flowers for it.
Of course.
Wayne rhyming like this is not an easy thing to do.
They, they bring out the best in each other, and I always felt like on that first Collie Grove album, Chainz was the one bringing it, and Wayne kind of left him hanging. And Wayne picked up the slack here. You know what I'm saying? And because he wasn't rapping like this on the first Collie Grove.
No. When Chainz, this is what I'm talking about, where Chainz is on Wayne level, you bringing up the Wayne bar, all long as we need is a track and we run a train on it. No, how about on Oprah and Gail, which is a Song of the Year contender? Shout out to Benny for closing that shit out masterfully.
Yeah.
Like, how this? Chainz at the end of his verse said, never smoked a cig, but I shoot that. True facts. That's that double entendre shit that Jay does, that he gets revered for.
You're right.
And you not skip over Chainz because he from College Park. Like, he don't have that. Sig, as in cigarette, as in Sig Sawyer. Right. That's the shit that Jay does, Mike.
I love Chainz. You know how I love Chainz. Chainz is probably one of the more underrated MCs that, the game has ever seen, period.
I was about to say, Mike, like the way Chainz rapping on this album, I was like, we're going to have to reconfigure this top 10 Atlanta rapper list.
I've always had him high, man. Again, I know people going to think I'm being whatever. I got Chainz over Jeezy. I do. I always have.
Mike, to be honest with you, it's like I prefer Jeezy still, but I think that's more personal. It's like I can't tell you that Jeezy not a better rapper than Chainz, Mike.
No. I never thought I would say this either. I never thought I would say I enjoy Chainz music more than I do Ludacris's. I never thought I would say that, but I do.
And I tell you what, Mike, I've always preferred Chainz to Ludacris. Since I heard that joint on Chicken and Beer when he was still Titty Boy.
Yeah. Got them guns?
Got them guns. Ooh. Yeah. Hammers. That when he did that shit, I was like, who's that nigga? I was like, that's my guy. I like that nigga.
Yeah. 007 with the super chat says, thoughts on AZ's upcoming LL, Hoffa's next interview. Thoughts on AZ upcoming LL.
LP probably.
Oh, yeah, LP. I mean, listen, AZ's incredibly consistent. I think he got a new song with Fat Joe out there. But
you know what?
We're waiting on it.
AZ might be the Chainz in New York. It's like, no. I'm like what Chainz is to Atlanta is kind of like what A is to New York. It's like, really, when you think about it, it's like, 10 dudes that can really spit better than A? Do you really? Because that's how I feel about Chainz right now.
And I know people think I'm crazy, but Chainz to me is like the Southern Ghostface, man. Like, he has these abstract thoughts that he throws out there, and I love it.
Me too. So can we have a quick conversation? Because I'm going to tell you where I was thinking about you when I listened to this album. On the Shame record, Mike, Wayne and Chainz put the best quote in hip-hop history, talk the rest. And that was with the Ray and Ghost shout-outs. It's Ray and Ghost. When people talk about in hip-hop circles having chemistry as a duo, Mike, they don't reference Method Man and Redman. They reference Ray and Ghost the way Chainz and Wayne both did on that record. And shout out to them because listen, Shame and Oprah and Gail, those are 2 Song of the Year contenders that are back to back. They stunted so hard on those records.
Yeah.
But when you hear, listen, you know what I mean? But when you're hearing these dudes talking about we're like Ray and Ghost, like, come on. Like,
Shame
Ray
is
and Ghost is the
insane.
duo. Ray and Ghost is the duo, Mike. Ray and Ghost is hip hop's best duo ever. Period. And when I heard the record, I was like, because that's New Orleans and Atlanta recognizing that Ray and Ghost are the best duo, Mike. That's different. I know everybody up top, and I don't want to hear that Styles and Jada thing, like, because it's gotta be all encompassing. It's like even niggas down here know the duo is Ray and Ghost.
I don't know, man. I'm with you because you know how I feel about Ghost and Ray and Ghost, whatever, however we want to put it. But that chemistry that Jada and Styles have, it's almost like they're writing on the same piece of paper. It's insane.
I tell you, they don't have as many bangers as Ray and Ghost for you to say that, though.
No, you're right. They don't. They don't have the bangers that Ray and Ghost have. Ray and Ghost got the body of work. And even when my guys Method Man and Redman, as much as I love them, as much as they've been an inspiration to me, they don't have the body of work that Ray and Ghost have either. So, yeah. I mean, the unofficial duo, I mean, they might have as much work together that Big Boy and Dre have.
Mike, they do.
It's crazy. And they're an unofficial group.
Formerly known. You talking about the artist formerly known as, Mike. Artist formerly.
And well, with that being said, who are the top 3 MCs in Atlanta? History.
History?
Atlanta history.
Are we talking talent or are we talking overall?
Overall.
Oh, Big Boy, CeeLo, T.I.
I like the list. Ill Magic with the super chat says,
yeah.
Do y'all hold this album head to head with Magic 3?
No, but I think it's the runner-up right now. And the only reason is because it's so damn long, which is why you shouldn't make long-ass rap albums.
Yeah.
If you take the best of this album and cut out about 3 or 4 tracks, I think it's right there with Magic 3. But right now, it is my runner-up for album of the year, tentatively. Also, too, Mike, I'm not finished with my Ray and Ghost shit.
Oh,
think about this. Isn't Ghost one of your personal 5 favorite MCs?
Straight up.
I feel the same way about Ray. That's why it's them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chainz and Wayne have a lot of Ray and Ghost in them. You know, as far as like the chemistry goes, and you could tell that they probably look to these guys for inspiration. Wayne's always spoken about Wu-Tang, you know, highly anyway. I remember Wayne had a bar back in the day when he was saying something along the lines that he's the only rapper around that could have been in the Wu-Tang. And back then I used to be like, oh, that's blasphemous, but I get it now, you know?
No. He was like, True Lie, baby. Chainz and Wayne.
They need their Kappa. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing about Ray and Ghost too. It's about a swag. It's not even about the fact that they rhyme like this. Like, these guys, they're one. You know what I'm saying? And then when Kappa comes in, he's like right there with them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mike, it's a lifestyle with Ray and Ghost. And Chainz and Wayne are very much that same way. It's like, you're not just coming for the bars. The bars are going to be there. You're coming for all of it, Mike. You're coming for the lifestyle.
Yep.
You're coming back and forth. You're coming for the energy. You're coming for the look. You're coming from the feel. Like,
to be honest with you, man, you know I say on this show that I got Kappa. I personally like Kappa over Deck. Ray and Ghost have a lot to do with that. You know what I'm saying?
Mike,
a whole lot to do.
The reason that I have Deck over Kappa is because, Mike, and then listen to me very carefully, there's how Kappa sounds with Ray and Ghost, and then there's how Kappa sounds by himself. Deck is always Deck, Mike.
Deck said a lot on Only Built for Cuban Links. I will give him that.
Poisonous paragraphs. Smash a phonograph in half. Be the Inspector Deck on a warpath.
You know what? I wish we got more Deck and Jizzle.
I mean, Mike, that's what I'm saying. Deck has some of the best opening lines in the history of rap. Obama atomically. Socrates' philosophies and high prophecies can't define how I'll be dropping these mockeries. Lyrically performed on rock. Kappa don't have a come in like that, Mike. I'm sorry. He don't have a poisonous paragraph either. He doesn't have a Iron Mike come in. The thugs kill for drugs, plus the young bucks bust. Ducking handcuffs, throats get rust when coke ruts. Out of town foes look shook but still pose. We move like real pros through the streets we stroll. Bullet holes laced with windows and 160. So Controller Avenue. That's the dream that's old. No, man.
Patricio with the super chat says, I personally have Chainz as the fourth best MC out of ATL after Big Boy, Dre, and Luda. Chainz is slept on. Long story short, it's a great record.
Artist formerly known as.
I would like to understand why. I won't say understand. I would like to hear clarity, and maybe we need, whenever we do a call-in show, I don't know how that's going to happen. I would love to understand why people hold Luda so high and we don't. I think that, I don't want to say we don't. We hold him high, but to have him third after Dre and Big Boy, that's very, very high. And I would love to hear, why people feel that way.
Negative.
No, I mean, it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me.
He should be in our top 10, and he's a better rapper than a Jeezy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this is Luda's problem. Okay, so back to the Chronic and the 2001 conversation. It's like, oh no, 2001 is clean and masterfully put together, but it don't feel like the Chronic. Like, Luda don't make you feel the way these other dudes make you feel about it.
Right.
Like, that difference between him and T.I., it's like, if you want to tell me that he's technically the better rapper, A, I don't think you know what you're talking about, and B, he don't make you feel the Tip makes you feel. He just didn't.
I think his freestyle game makes a lot of these arguments. I think his freestyle game is so high that it can be blinding for people sometimes, but if we look at the records, it's very hard for me to formulate an argument to how he would be better than T.I. You know what I mean? When you have an urban legend out there, you have a trap music out there, you have a King out there, and you have a Paper Trail out there.
In tennis, we call that game, set, match.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, maybe people have their reasons, but I think it has to be he got hits though. I give him that.
He's the first artist outside of Outkast that I feel like traveled heavy outside of the South.
For sure.
And so there might be some nostalgia for people, and they look at Luda as a representation of Atlanta in a manner that us in the city don't necessarily look at. Because, like, first we look at Dungeon Family. You know what I'm saying? Like, here, we look at Dungeon Family. It's like, for us, it's like, well, there's Dungeon Family, and then there's all you other niggas that came after Dungeon Family, because that's exactly what it is. And for us down here, I think we feel like T.I. is the guy that took that to the next level. But for people outside of here, they feel like it's Luda. For us down here, it's Tip.
It's interesting, man. We always talk about the South not being content heavy per se, but for our guys who actually rap and, like you said, make you feel, we expect content-heavy material. Trick Daddy's a content-heavy guy. He might not be, in many people's eyes, a very skilled guy. Same thing with Jeezy. He's a very content-heavy guy. Even though from a skill set level, you might feel like he's limited. And I think that's where Luda might miss that mark for a lot of us. Whereas he is very skilled, but from a content standpoint, what song did he make to make you feel like I'm just doing my job? Or did it make you feel like, get up, get out? Or made you feel like, guess who?
No. Let's see, you're talking B-side. Let's take it to a hit level, Mike. What does he have that makes Atlanta feel proud, like What You Know by T.I. makes us feel proud, like Put On by Jeezy makes us feel proud? Do you feel what I'm saying?
I was proud when I heard Southern Hospitality, but that was kind of different. But I was away from home, too.
That's what I'm saying. That's not put like that. Come on, Mike. Body Red on the no, that does something in the A, Mike.
Right.
That do something in the A that very few people have ever done when Jeezy throw that record on. You feel me?
It's interesting that you say that and say it in those terms. Let's look at Pastor Troy, because he's a guy who had the city on lock while Luda was reaching the national heights that he was reaching.
Mm-hmm.
You put on those Luda records, respectfully, in Atlanta, it's not going to get the same reaction that if you put on The City from Pastor Troy, or vice versa, or No More Playing GA. It's not.
Mike, when Vice Versa come on, niggas get the screw face in the whip and
Yeah.
It's different.
It's very different.
It's different.
And I think that's what's different for us because as great as Luda is, and I think that, what he did is very necessary and he opened a lot of doors.
And important.
Very important. But he doesn't have those moments in the city that did those things in the city. And I think people outside of the city can look at all those other important things that we're talking about almost in a vacuum, where the people here are like, yeah, I was there. He was great. But where the vice versa at? Where the,
Mike, respectfully, it's like, in a lot of ways, in terms of podcasts, we're a lot like Luda in the sense that it's like, well, our following outside of the walls of Atlanta is bigger than inside of the walls in Atlanta. And that's our reason why I want to change it, because it's like, oh no, I'm about my city, about this city. You know what I'm saying? I walk the streets in this city by myself, like for real, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm never going to fucking have security walking around here no matter how big we get. And so it's like, that is the thing that kind of like, I can't front, Mike, it irks and like sticks in my skin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it irks me. It's like, no, I don't want to be Luda in Atlanta. Like, respectfully, it's like, nah, I want to be Tip. I want to be Jeezy. I want to be Dungeon Family in Atlanta. Like, I don't want to be Luda in Atlanta because I know what that really looks like. And my black ass really been outside the whole time. You know? That's why it's important, because it's like, we're like, man, we don't get why all these people love Luda outside of Atlanta. It's kind of for some of the same reasons that people love us outside of Atlanta. It's very similar.
KRC with the super chat says KD3 and Magic 1 are aging. Are aging to be the album that represents the brilliance of Nas and Hit Boy's run. Michael Williams with the super chat says, what's the better 4-verse song, My Block or What Goes Around? I got What Goes Around. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Luda is not even T.I. Come on now.
Hold on, Mike. You mean My Block by Tupac? I'm going to abstain from the vote. You're not going to put my two favorites against me. I'm sorry.
I think we might have to put that in the chat. OG Winston with the super chat says, does Luda have a classic album? See, you know what? Even outside of the regional stuff, that's the question.
That might be the thing. Now, we got classic shit, so that's where we're not like Luda.
That's the question.
We've had this for days.
Esquire with the super chat says, heads outside of ATL hold Luda high because he's undeniably entertaining and focuses on the core fundamentals of MCing more than his ATL contemporaries. Well said, Esquire.
No, that's a wonderful thought. But in Atlanta, we'd be like, man, fuck all that.
Well, I think the other thing is the classic album thing, too.
That would be my thing, Mike. If I think, like, for me, it's like, if to go back, I mean, I hate comparing the two, but it's just a generational thing, too. I think it's like, well, don't tell me that he's better than T.I. when T.I. is sitting over there with Paper Trail and King and Urban Legend and trap music. It's like, with what evidence do you have?
That's the separating piece to me. And I think Luda was here to make hit records. He comes from a radio background, so he had a leg up in that facet where he knew what was going to rock. He knew how to make a great radio record. He knew how to make a hit, and he did that time and time and time again. I don't think his focus was on making the album. It's funny. To me, I've always said Word of Mouth was his best album because of all the hits that were on it. But then I went back and listened, and my boy was like, nah, man, it's Chicken and Beer. And I went back and listened to Chicken and Beer. It is his best album, actually by far.
It's body of work, Mike.
But
here's his real body of work where it's like, no, it's a complete body of work.
And he named it Chicken and Beer. Like, so if you are here to focus on an album, you name your best piece of work, Chicken and Beer. I think that's probably why I never really even gave it the listen that maybe I should have given it, because the name didn't even sound like it was like I'm serious about making this album like that. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest with you, I think that is part of his problem is that, how about this? This city has a very serious undertone to it that Dungeon Family's always explored, Killer Mike still explores. T.I. always explores.
What was
And
T.I.'s
Luda,
debut called?
I'm serious.
Exactly.
And so how about this? He never touched the heart of this city because I think he never took himself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that ended up hurting him. Like, it was almost like, you know what, Mike? Because he was in radio, it's almost like he learned how to play the game too well on a nationwide level. And in the process of doing that, I think Atlanta did get lost a little bit. Because I'll tell you what, like, how about this? Like, you remember I-20's first album?
Yeah.
That's some Atlanta shit, Mike. I fuck with I-20's first album. But that's because it feels like Atlanta. I don't know if Luda even have an album that feels like Atlanta, like 20's first album. And like you got, Mike, you have to.
I wanna be fair here because at that time period, everybody who made it to a certain national level kind of left Atlanta, in the back burner, right? With Luda, he was fortunate enough. Hold on, let me finish. Luda, he was fortunate enough for his first song made him national. What's Your Fantasy, which was a local record, made him national. T.I. even admits, once T.I. got to that point of, not knowing, crossing over, he kind of left the city in his back burner, and that's how the whole Shawty Low thing happened because he wasn't around. Like, he didn't see these things happening. And it happened with Lil Jon, too. Lil Jon was super local until he wasn't anymore, and then he wasn't really making music for the city like that either. But what happened with Luda is it happened immediately for him and never looked back,
So, Mike, respectfully, here's where Luda is still missing the point with that. First of all, when Tip found out what was going on with Shawty Low in the city and how
he made what's happening.
When he touched back down, though, Mike,
yeah.
When he touched back down with a motherfucking vengeance.
He did.
All right?
He did.
With a vengeance, Mike. Like, it is blistering the vengeance that he touched down with. He's like, because he pretty much was like, this local nigga from my side of town is not about to take my city from me. I'm not having that. Mike, that's that rap shit that I'm talking about that T.I. has in him that I don't know if Luda has in him, for one. Second of all, we have to realize something, Mike. Most of the greatest rap albums of all time, Mike, like most of them, they were made for that block. The Chronic is for L.A., Mike. We just happen to Chronic. Mike, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music is for Atlanta, Mike. It's just the rest of the nation picked it up. Mike, Illmatic is for... Mike, Illmatic ain't even for Brooklyn and the Bronx. That shit is for Queensbridge, Mike. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
And so, respectfully, you can't skip a step. Very few people are walking around with classic albums. Their album. There's not trap music for Atlanta, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Reasonable Doubts for Brooklyn. No, you're right.
The Diary ain't even for Texas, Mike. That shit is for Houston. That's for PA. You know what I'm saying? I mean, SA. Yeah. Southside. That's for Southside Houston, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, Face didn't make that shit for everybody. He didn't. He made that shit for his hood. It's just like when you hear it, it's like, how can you not love this nigga and love this nigga's hood?
But see, that used to be the thing with hip-hop, though. We used to listen to records to get what was going on in certain places. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted it to be about your backyard, so we could listen to the Chronic and listen to Doggy Style and know what's going on in Long Beach, know what's going on in Compton, know what's going on in Queensbridge by listening to Illmatic. And it's part of your identity as an artist. And I don't think that we got that identity from, Luda as an MC. Yeah. We just know he's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, like, think about this. Common's best album is B because it's like, no, that's more Chicago than like Water for Chocolate is. That's Ye on the board. That's Common on the mic on his old Chicago shit.
B is climbing in my overall list, man. When I go back and listen to B, I told you, I think I said this on another show, man. Like, I couldn't tell you what year this album came out. I just couldn't. It's very timeless in that sense. It's a cold weather album in a sense where like a Moment of Truth for Gangstar, it just sonically feels like Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, it's an incredible piece of work.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, Mike, he made that album because it's like niggas from Chicago is like, what the fuck wrong with this nigga? He like, hold on, pause.
Took it out of space.
Can't have niggas in the town talking about me like this.
Took it out of space, and niggas thought they lost me. Reggie with the super chat says, Mike, Coop, are we getting a A2HH yearbook for 2023? Haven't planned on it. I mean, we gotta find. I mean, you guys gonna rock with it? Y'all gonna purchase it? Like, we've had this conversation before.
I probably spent about 100 hours a piece working on those yearbooks. I'm sorry, it just didn't reflect.
It's just too much. Yeah, it's a lot.
A bit. Yeah.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, been out for a few weeks, fellas. Did y'all cover or listen to that A$AP Rock album that dropped 11/10 this month? It's a great project. Gotta go check it out.
I heard about it. I haven't got to it yet, though. I will.
Esquire with the super chat says, he's like Busta Rhymes of the South. And I would venture to say that Busta doesn't have an LP better than Word of Mouth or Chicken and Beer, in my humble opinion. I would say ELE is, but that's just my humble opinion.
I would say The Coming is.
Patricio with the super chat says, Coop, let's argue. Luda is better than T.I. Luda's a better lyricist, has a better voice, flow, and hits. Y'all ain't proud of Move, Bitch, or Roll Out? Listen.
Mike, respectfully, that is not what you know in 24s.
It's not. Respectfully. No. And I like all 4 songs, but if I had to rank all 4, yeah, it would be no. Listen, I think, and I told Gift this today too, I think Gift has one of the dopest flows ever. I think T.I. really has one of the dopest flows ever. Now, I will say, Luda might have a more versatile flow than T.I., but I'm not willing to just say that Luda has a better flow than T.I. I can't say that. And when you say better lyricist, T.I. covers more topics. So I would give T.I. that edge because songs like Praying for Help, songs like I'm Just Doing My Job, do we not count those things as lyricism?
Live in the Sky.
Yeah.
And on some MC shit, he had stuff like I'm Talking to You and I'm Illy. Yeah. No. And he's got the bangers. He's got the hits. He's got the guest appearances. Mike, he is our best MC, top to bottom, especially seeing how the artist formerly known as is somewhere playing the clarinet or the bongo or the flute or the fucking xylophone. Who is Prince? Sound like Prince. I was like, no, that's some Prince shit. You better perform like Prince.
Did you hear his Prince story?
Everybody got a Prince story, Mike.
No. He's talking about Coachella.
I mean, Prince is shady, by the way. Like, that's why I love Prince. I told you I like the petty guys. Prince is very petty, Mike. Probably did some petty shit.
He said, I guess when they did Coachella 2014, he hadn't performed in a long time. And so he was saying Prince was on one side of the stage, Paul McCartney's on the other, and he was dealing with an earpiece. He never performed with an earpiece. He was talking like it was new technology at the time. And so it was throwing him off, blah, 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 stage fright, this and that. And anyway, he said Prince called him, I guess the next day or whatever, after the fact, and said, like, you have to remind people of who you are. You guys are legends. And you got to remind people of who you are. And he's like, yeah, I guess he doesn't realize who he is and how big he is. But see, my thing is, even when Prince said that, did he follow Prince's advice?
What more do you need than literally, arguably the greatest artist of all time telling you, you have to remind people who you are.
And when he says that, and the way he said it, I was thinking that Prince was saying, well, nigga, you got to put music out. You got to perform more. He didn't do any of those things.
I mean, first of all, you got to understand more songs than anybody. Personally, on me, somebody like an Andre, it's like, right? The way that they do. Really think about this. Sit him next to somebody like a Prince and tell me that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that be the problem. Like, it's like, oh no, you're not the genius or because brilliance and genius is going to show itself so many different ways when you really have it.
Right.
It is.
That's quite.
It's going to show itself. It's not going to hide. Brilliance doesn't hide itself. It lends itself to the culture.
Well, that's what makes it brilliant. Esquire with the super chat says, Theater of the Mind is massively underrated as well. His most pure album as an MC. It's not trap music, quality wise, but Tip doesn't have an LP is pure. I would compare Theater of the Mind, from what I remember, to Paper Trail. I think they're both very similar in that light. I mean, if you want to compare something T.I. has to, Theater of the Mind.
All right. One album is great, one album is not. The end.
See, they're going to call us out for some Luda slander. I'm not slandering Luda. I love Luda.
No, Mike, I call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
A spade and say that I die. 56 bars and I'm Illy is better than everything on there. And them ain't even top 5 songs on Paper Trail.
LP with the super chat says Luda is more Busta than Nas. Well, yeah. What do you think about Busta's track list that's come out here? Because, I mean, we got to talk about that, too.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. I'll read through it. Esquire with the super chat says Gipp spoke on it and said Luda doesn't get the ATL love that he deserves because folks in the A felt like he was jocking yo ad-libs on Welcome to Atlanta. Well, Gipp's going to speak his mind. Esquire with the super chat says meant to say ATL. Felt like he was jocking NY. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says sidebar. Diddy is the real Suge. And Big Red Davis. You know what? Speaking of Suge, I love Suge's podcast, by the way, and I got to check on episode 3. The way Suge tells stories, man.
First of all, I keep telling people, it's like, oh no, you don't pull Dr. Dre away from NWA unless you're very charismatic and intelligent. And so I think people forget that part about Suge. I mean, Mike, just quite frankly, when it comes to Diddy, and I'm going to have Curry pull up soon as we can, like, put it together and make it, like, real for him to come and show love, because I know Curry personally.
Cool.
Like, I mean, Curry been telling me I was 25, like, I'm 42. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when it be like, Puff, I just be like, And it's not just about it, Mike, top to bottom about everything. It'd be like, oh, no. It's like, would you sign to Puff? It's like, why would I do that? I know a nigga that would sign to Puff. It's like, fuck no, nigga. Like, about a lot. Not just, like, nigga, you gonna be doing morning getting cheesecake for the nigga if you keep this shit up. Nice. Next.
Patricio with the super chat says, great T.I. takes, y'all. I feel that way, y'all. I'm sorry. I feel what y'all are saying. The Chicago in me felt Luda more than T.I., but maybe if I was an ATLian, I'd rock with T.I. I'm pretty sure you would. And again, we rock with Luda too. You know what I mean? I'm just calling a spade, as Coop says. Like, the catalog speaks for itself. And when those songs got played during the time that everybody was in their prime, it's evident. Luda's records weren't getting the reaction that Pastor Troy records were getting. And I'm not saying that to be denigrating. I'm just trying to let y'all know how big somebody like Pastor Troy was in the city of Atlanta at that time. And so when T.I. dropped and he had shit on lock for trap music, he had the streets on lock. When Jeezy dropped Trap or Dies and, 101, he had everything on lock.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I hate having these conversations because it seems like we're trying to slight Luda, but it's like,
yeah,
let's just take the Atlanta out of it, Mike. Okay? And let's just make it some rap shit. Luda don't have 4 albums like the T.I. albums we just named. And that's the end of the discussion, because the same reason that we weren't around here calling Nas the GOAT has mostly to do with the albums. Like, everybody got a preference for bars and songs and stuff. These bodies of work is really what separates, and his body of works just don't match T.I.'s. And it's like one of those things. It's like, no, I'm not saying that to slight the man. I'm saying it because it's the truth.
At the time, I was personally more a Luda fan. You know what I mean? Because, again, we saw Luda was a rare situation where we saw the whole blow up. You know what I mean? We saw everything from him doing drops for Nabs, from him having his own show with Poon. And there was late night, for them getting the primetime spot going up against Greg Street, for him dropping his independent I skipped a spot. Him getting on Timbaland's album with Fat Rabbit, you know what I'm saying? And for him, and for him to get that spot, I bought the Timbaland album just for that, you know what I'm saying? And for him to drop an independent What's Your Fantasy and drop Incognito and then get to that point to sign the Def Jam, nobody in Atlanta was signing the Def Jam at this point. So there was a level of pride in his whole blow up. So we're not slighting or denigrating any of that. We're just trying to call a spade, like you said. Look at the catalog.
Mike, I was at Manifest in Charlotte when he pulled up and sold Incognito independently to my manager, Mike Slates. Like, I remember I was like, because, you know, here's the thing, Mike. Even when I was in Charlotte, I always missed Atlanta. And so it's like any Atlanta I could get my hands on in Charlotte, I always did. You know what I'm saying? And so when he came in with Incognito, I was like, what's this shit? Who this nigga? Yay. Like, super excited. But it's like, oh, no. But I remember where I was when Chris Hardaway copped trap music and literally had me drive an hour from Cobb to Gwinnett to sit in the fucking parking lot and listen to trap music.
Trap music was a moment.
It was that serious. He's like, you heard this T.I. shit, nigga? He's like, no. He's like, you need to get your ass in the car right now and come see me if you haven't picked up this album yet. I was like, put the Pussy Popper #1, nigga? He's like,
and see, I wasn't a big fan of I'm Serious either. So if you would have asked me at that point who was better, it wouldn't even been a conversation.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it was Dope Boy Fresh. It kind of like put me like, oh, no, he's good. But it's
agree.
I was like, yeah, Dope Boy Fresh was the verse. But I was like, the nigga that made Pussy Popper #1, I was like, you want me to drive an hour? Come listen to this project. He's like, cool. He was like, and this is what he said. He said, this is the best rap album in this city since Aquemini. I said, I'm getting in the car. Getting in the car right now, my nigga. And guess what?
He was right.
He was right.
He was right.
He was right.
007 with the super chat. Go ahead.
I sat in the spot for an hour. Like, nigga, I ain't gonna tell you what I was doing, but it's like, no, I had no business sitting anywhere for an hour around that time. It's like, yeah, I was like, oh shit. It's like, this nigga got the whole city. Like, I knew when I heard trap music, I was like, he got this city.
007 with the super chat says, I actually like Theater of the Mind. Pretty dope. Y'all gonna make me go back and listen to Theater of the Mind. I remember that song with Jay and Nas was underwhelming, but, you know.
No good.
Esquire with the super chat says, Paper Trail is T.I.'s most lyrical album. 56 bars. I'm Illy, Swagger Like Us, and TOTM is Luda's most lyrical offering. Luda's bars are stronger on Theater of the Mind. JY with the super chat says, better album catalog overall, Drake or Wayne? I don't know.
See, how about this?
I don't know.
My problem with Wayne is that I don't revere his projects outside of the Carter 2 the way everybody else does.
Right. I'm similar with you on that. The Busta Rhymes track list, Timbaland put this out, and so you know Timbaland, Swizz, and Pharrell, they're executive producing this album. It has a song with Quavo on it, B.I.'s on it, Young Thug's on it, T-Pain's on it, DaBaby's on it. Actually, DaBaby and T-Pain on the same song. Burna Boy's on it. It's a lot of newer folks on it. I mean, I won't say newer folks, but people that aren't of Busta Rhymes' generation. Chris Brown and Shanicia is on it. He got a song with Kodak Black. Moray got a song with him. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is going to be Friday, I think this drops. It's going to be interesting to see what this sounds like. But one of the things that I found interesting is it's on Epic. And Andre's album is on Epic as well. And Gibbs said he got an album coming out on Epic also. So I don't know what Epic has going on right now, but it seems like the album-making individuals are all kind of ganging up on Epic Records again. Sylvia Rome's over there, I believe. So I think she's getting the gang back together, which is a good thing for music and people who are listening to full albums. Esquire with the super chat says, Tip wouldn't decimate Nelly in a versus the way that Luda did. Luda's biggest hits are way more universal. T.I.'s more universal, while T.I.'s most revered records are more regional. You know, I really wish T.I. would step into this versus ring because people are trying to play him like he's a local guy. It really should have been Luda and T.I. I really wish that would have happened instead of Nelly and Luda.
Respectfully, Mike, Luda's catalog of hits isn't even deeper than T.I.'s. I'm sorry, like y'all are just wrong.
I think they're wrong too. I think people are kind of playing Ti short because he's more balanced. You know what I'm saying? Like he has hits too. He has been featured on some big hits as well. Which one you got? Like My Love or Yeah? Because Luda's, I'm sorry, Ti's performance is better than Luda's performance on Yeah on My Love.
The song too, Mike. My
It
Love is
is.
more of a classic than Yeah.
Blur
Yeah, it's some low.
Lines. Blur Lines a Baby by Justin Bieber. Like, I don't even want to do him like that. Blur Lines or Sierra. Oh,
I like O better.
okay.
I'm with O. That's my favorite Luda guest verse, maybe. That and the
He
Major
cute.
Look remix.
Southern style get wild. Old school's coming down in a different color. Whip. Picture perfect. You might want to take a flick. Call it Jazzy. Tell him pop the bottles because it got another hit. Want to go platinum? I'm who get. Yeah. Ludacris on the jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed that shit. I'm flexing skills. Hot song jumped on, gotta get it up on because he ever got sex appeal. And I keep the
Yeah.
meanest, cleanest, bad, and sitting on stainless wheels, but see, never scared. Jeez, that's the one. That's the one. Are you gonna go with Never Scared, or are you gonna go with Luda on B.I.B.I., which I think he killed as well? I love Luda on B.I.B.I. remix.
I'm not saying this to knock Luda. He's just not all-time great way Tip is to me. It's like Tip to me is probably the best MC that ever came out of the city, top to bottom. And Luda is top 5 to 10, depending on how you feel. Like, how about this? Even how I feel right now, I would still put the artist formerly known as ahead of him.
I don't think he's qualifiable as an individual to do that. I don't think that's fair to Luda and the work that he's put in. But that's just me. Oh, Luda on Fatty Girl was pretty vicious too. You know what?
He's got stuff.
Yeah.
We might need to put more respect on Luda's name, but I think the masses as a whole need to be putting way more respect on T.I.'s name because we're not being disrespectful to Ludacris. We're just giving Atlanta perspective. But T.I.'s definitely not getting the respect that he deserves because he should be getting the Lil Wayne treatment right now, quite frankly.
He should be. And I don't understand why he's not. He's coming up on his final album, he says, and I wish that he would get that level of reverence like he should be for the work that he's put in. Because again, to me, I mean, I know this is entertainment, so people buy into individuals and their personalities, and things get personal without people even thinking they're getting personal. If you like somebody, you're going to rock with them no matter what. But you can't negate the work. If a person's put in the work, regardless of how you feel about them, the work stands for itself. The work that T.I.'s put in this game, it speaks for itself.
Let me ask you something. Mike, if we were to do a station head, would you be comfortable taking Ludacris versus T.I.?
I thought about that with some of the things that people are saying, and I'm a Luda fan too. I know his catalog front to back. I would feel like I was the underdog. You know what I mean? I feel like I got to really dig. And
see that? I feel like I got to do much.
Exactly. If I were on the other side of that, yeah.
I feel like I could just pull up his 4 albums and just be like.
Patricio with the super chat says, "Y'all tripping. Y'all definitely, yeah, it's definitely better than My Love. I don't forget Luda's features on Missy's Gossip Folks. That's another good one. Or Jamie Foxx's Unpredictable. Luda got mad features. He does.
I like Gossip Folks more than the Unpredictable. Unpredictable.
He did his thing on Unpredictable, but yeah, Gossip Folks is what'd he say? Yeah.
Chris. Yeah, that was
Yeah, once upon a time in College Park where they live like fans and they're scared of dark. Yep.
So here's where we're fortunate. We're at this place in Atlanta rap history where we can have T.I. and Luda conversations and Chainz and Jeezy conversations and CeeLo conversation and the artist formerly known as conversation. And there's so much talent, and that's not mentioning the Sci-Highs, the JIDs, Gip, who you just interviewed. We have a plethora of great MCs to choose from, and I'm proud of that more than anything.
It's a beautiful thing. I never thought we were going to get to this place, but we are. Brother Gabe with the super chat says, Busta went for a young audience with this new album, but it's not sounding good so far. First time in a while, nothing excites me for a Busta album. It's interesting you say he went for a young audience, but he went with older producers, which is interesting, I guess, production choice, I think. Like, if you're going to go with these type of features, I think you should have went with the Murder Beats of the world, you know what I'm saying, the Metros of the world, if you can, as opposed to Pharrell, Timbaland, and Swiss. And that's just my opinion. I'm huge fans of all of those guys. Well, maybe not Swiss like that, but you know what I'm saying, Timbaland and I mean, I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm just being honest. Like Esquire with the super chats.
Like, it's funny that it's like on a show where you finally give Alicia Keys props for like literally the first time since we doing the show, you found a way to slide some shade for the hubs in.
That wasn't on purpose. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not a huge Swiss Beats fan. I mean, as far as his beats, I'm not talking about him as an individual, but his productions just never grabbed me like that. Pause. Esquire with the super chat says, y'all misunderstood my point. Southern Hospitality and Move, Luda's most beloved hits, international. We love T.I. more for the regional hits than the commercial smashes. 24, Rubber Band Man, and Motivation ASAP. Is Rubber Band Man not a national hit?
I'm pretty certain. But Diddy popped up in the video, nigga. Dirty Diddy. Dirty Diddy. There we go. I was looking for a name. Dirty Diddy.
You look.
Double
Diddy. All right, before we get out of here, speaking of Diddy, I wanna talk about like what's the best rap verse on an R&B song, and I brought up Diddy because he's the guy to me that perfectly married hip hop and R&B in the modern era. And so, what would you say the best rap verse on an R&B song is?
First of all, Michael Bivins is the one that actually started that before.
Well, I ain't saying he created it, but I'm talking about like as far as popularizing it and making it mainstream. Yeah, I got you.
Michael Bivins is the guy.
Because Uptown Records was all about that. Like.
Okay, so Mike, do you mean best as in bar work, or do we mean most memorable?
We can go both.
I still think the most memorable is probably Dirty Diddy Inspired, and that's big on Can't You See?
I think that's the best bar work, too. That's what I was going to pick for best bar work.
That's the game. Oh, you think that's the best bar work, too? I think that's
I'm trying to think.
Reverse, Mike.
What's better than that?
Give me all the chicken heads from Pasadena to Medina. Get in between you and peep the prognosis. Doses, blends, and bends like Twizzlers. Fitting the hurt. What's under that skirt? Slow down, son. Killing them.
Who filling them with octane?
You know what made the slow down, you killing them, son, part so real? Because he really was, Mike. It was like, whoa.
This is too much. And then he comes back. Who's filling them with octane? Got him gassed up, about to get black. Like, what?
Ooh, I mean, that's Can't You See is always the rap verse that sticks out in my mind. It's like that's the game changer in the memorable moment. It's them in Times Square in Totals in black and they're in white. It's like, no, it's perfect. Like Puff's a genius on that level. It's just a nasty bastard like R. Kelly and the rest of these motherfuckers.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah, right. Allegedly, Mike. When there be smoke coming out the house, there's probably a fire inside. But okay.
Do you think that is the best feature? Because that's where I was gonna go. Actually,
I was thinking. Shoot, I love on Only You too. Like that's what I'm saying.
Now, Only You, I'm gonna give that one to Mace on the remix.
Still think Big's verse is better.
Jesus, the notorious just.
Please us with your lyrical thesis. He just looking top billing. Me and Little C's, Malibu Sea Breeze, Dawn Peas, Palm Trees, Cats Stay Pablo with Milked Out Diablo.
Yeah, you're right.
Small of the filler gets what? Room 112 where the players deal and Sash More Cash and Bourbon Dells. Inhale. Make you feel good like Tony. Yeah, Mike, it's big.
It's like we take his greatness for granted. Like
I don't.
I mean, I'm just saying, I do sometimes. Like, Mace had a standout verse because that was the first time I heard Mace and the energy that came with it, and it was something different. But when you break down Big's verse, it's like, yeah, he
Big
had the
Smoke.
better verse.
Yeah, he's smoking that nigga.
And I wish Big would have changed his verse, man. I always hated the fact that he used the same verse for the remix, but that's just me wanting more Big material, I guess.
But when you get a 10 out of 10 on the balance beam, there's no need for you to get back on the balance beam.
What do you think about Jigga Man on Best of Me remix?
That came to my mind too. I think that's
first verse or second verse?
First.
Really? I was gonna go second. Carolina Blue Kicks, hottest nigga on the block. Used to Willie bicycle since I was 6.
Oh, like I like the first one because it's actually Jay, and you're not like jacking somebody else's whole style while you're spitting the shit. So
you're talking about the Camp Low thing. That does sound like Geechee Suede from Camp Low.
Yeah, straight stole his flow. He was getting beats from Ski like around the same time the album was getting made. He straight stole the nigga flow for a verse. Like no.
Carolina Blue Kicks, yeah, that's definitely Camp Low. The first verse, how does it go? My focus, man. So,
yes,
y'all and Jigga Man be balling.
Pigeon toes of them be crawling. That's Jay.
Best of you, whenever I put my all in, yeah. Huh.
I'm the type to interior decorate the watch.
I like that. But you know what? Here's another one. What about Kim on Mary's I Can Love You? If I told you once, I told you twice. What about Foxy on Touch Me, Tease Me?
Nah.
No?
Nah, I like Kim on I Can Love You. Actually, yeah.
I think that's up there. And you know what? Not verse per se, but as far as hip-hop and R&B collaboration, it's hard pressed for me to find a better song than Bone and Mariah with Breakdown. That song, top to bottom, is special.
Oh, Mike. Oh, no. Oh, Mike, I forgot mine. Old Dirty Bastard on Fantasy is mine.
Is it? Okay.
Like that or Can't You See would be my picks. Old Dirty Bastard on Fantasy or Big on Can't You See.
Well, Old
Mike,
Dirty is seen still.
As ever, Mike. Me and Mariah go back like babies with pacifiers.
Old Dirty Dog, no liar.
Cut the beat off. This nigga different.
What do you think about Wu-Tang on the SWV Anything remix? Kaboom! Look who stepped in the room.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt and You Got? No. It's Dirt on Fantasy.
Give
me Dirt. Give me Old Dirty Bastard on Fantasy on Can't You See?
JY with the super chat says, random thought, but Crush on You aged incredibly. I think so.
Yes.
Let's see. Brother Gabe with the super chat says, Hove on Pharrell's Frontin', ODB on Mariah's Fantasy. I like Jay on Frontin', but
yeah.
Did you like Jay on what was that? Heartbreaker, Mariah.
I hate that song. I hate that song. I hate the verse. That song is whack.
Christopher Hogan with the super chat says T.I.'s verse on that Currency and JD album was fire. Speaking of T.I., I think My Love is a great verse. I think that his verse on Blurred Lines is pretty cool too.
I'll take the My Love verse deserves some honorable mention.
I will say Luda on the Sierra O too.
What about DMX and Nas on Sincerity?
That was dope. What about Ray and Ghost on Jodeci remix?
The remix?
Yeah.
You got stuff like the International House of Pancakes. Yeah. I'll give me Ray's verse on there. Yeah. I'll take Ray.
Yeah.
Ray freaking You remix. Yeah.
Tupac on John B's Are You Still Down?
Ooh, I've always felt like that was Tupac.
What about AZ on the Lady remix? What about AZ on the Lady remix?
I was actually thinking AZ on the Monique. Remember the Monique I Miss You remix? Yeah. Check the gold cellar, the Rockefeller with lots of mozzarella. Still never, not so cheddar, trying to have this cancerous, living fabulous. Used to having this plush to death, plus living fabulous. Guess jeans got me on the cut, less seen though. For real though, but still on the low. Doing my thing, blessed with enlightenment. Escaping secret indictment. Moving in the Lex with bright camouflage. Playing hard with no regard.
Why is he rapping like that on an R&B song? Jesus.
AZ blacked out on the remix up there, Mike. I think, you want to know it? That's the most underrated guest verse ever is him on the I Miss You remix because he smashed that shit.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Going crazy.
All right, well, let's get up out of here, man. I know people got some probably the second half of football to watch at this point, man. I know my fantasy team depends on this night.
Have you seen the score? What's the score of the game?
Let me see real quick. Hopefully Mahomes not doing too much. I got like a 38-point lead, and the only person they got to play is Mahomes. So I need him to not get 40 points. It's 14-7 right now.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes did throw an interception in the end zone, though.
Did he? Okay. He did. Yeah. So he's 8 for 12 tonight, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So I think I'm okay unless he goes crazy in the second half. So
it's not going crazy. Philly.
No, Philly's too good.
Taking this game personally, like you
sure.
fucked up. Like Philly fucked up.
All right. Well, let's get up out of here. And great show. We got more to cover on Wednesday, obviously. Keep an eye out for that.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
I want to be. The Clippers won a basketball game with James Harden actually on the court. I want to shout them out for actually winning a basketball game with him on the court because apparently it was a rare occurrence to happen. Okay.
Did he have anything to do with the win?
He actually hit a 4-point play and was the direct contributor for the win.
Well, shout out to him. Got to show love when necessary. And James Harden, great player.
Play basketball. Stop being so fucking selfish.
Well, we're going to holler at y'all Wednesday. Great show. I'm getting some more music that's coming this Friday. Probably give a preview. And, A2HH Live. Hit that like and subscribe button.
Gang.